Another week, another upgrade podcast. My name is Gary Muttley, and the man on the other end of the Skype machine is...
Len Carmichael, Landmine Studios. New and improved. Just finished my update.
Yeah, you improved your studio. I improved my little studio over here.
Hey, it's all downhill from here. It can't get any worse.
making it better so that we can make it worse and ruin your day with our rambling nonsense. But hey, you chose to listen, so you're on board.
So I spent 6 hours Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night, and then another 10 hours on Saturday doing the update over there. So I pulled out every single connection in my control room and started over from scratch with a brand new desk. And I bought like a couple new pieces of equipment and some new furniture otherwise. And it just really took forever because I wanted to make sure that when I hit go, that it all went. And I wasn't going to have to backtrace any of that. Because
I don't know how you do it. I don't even like rewiring my living room.
Patience. That's it. Persistence. It was 265 connections each direction to get right. So I had to take them all out and then put them all back in. Luckily, I do use this thing called a DB25, which is it's like a serial port. So when I hit the patch bay, those are 8 at a time going in. Nice. No big deal. But the breakouts on the other end is where you have to make sure you get it right. And you got to go in and make sure that all the settings are right inside the patch bay so that signal flows in the right direction. But needless to say, if you've seen the pictures, you can see that it looks nice, but I will tell you that it sounds nice. I solved a problem too. I was having a problem where the amps, if I used an amp with a pedal, but I was powering the pedal off of a different outlet, it was like giving me like a feedback noise, and I couldn't figure out why.
That's weird.
So I actually tested. I bought one of the testers, and I tested the extension cord, and it was actually wired backwards. So the positive was going to the negative. So then the amps were getting clean power that were positive to positive, negative to negative, while the other end was getting the negative to positive. So they were feeding back on each other, and that was causing the issue. So now everything sounds perfect. Happy.
Cool. The new and improved Landmine Studios.
Well, we'll see if it's improved, but it's definitely new. So we have guests today.
Yes, we do.
And you may have seen our guests around playing drums for a number of bands over the years. To name a few, Cipher, Shai Hulud, Vagus Nerve, the Ginty Band. Would like to introduce you all to Moe Watson. And please, join the conversation, sir. How are you?
How's it going, fellas? Happy to be here.
Oh,
we're happy to have you.
Definitely.
Did I miss any? What other bands have you been in? What else? What did I miss?
Let's see. There's been a lot over the years. I guess the Deadwater stuff is notable.
Okay.
I still get recognized here and there from the Deadwater videos, on the YouTube from the 7 Angels, 7 Plagues reunion show in Binghamton back in 2005. I think
that was Deadwater
that
Drowning, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The
I recognize the name.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we might have played with you guys at some point. It's entirely possible.
Here's the thing: they didn't do Deadwater Drowning didn't accomplish much other than playing some local shows, some regional shows, and putting out an EP that actually was like really, really influential to like the first wave of deathcore bands.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like we play like Suicide Silence's first, one of their first, like maybe their second show in Connecticut ever, and those dudes were like psyched. Like
that y'all were playing.
I remember pulling into the parking lot and then being like, oh, they're here. You know what I mean? That dude, fucking they made it. You know what I mean? But that's all that, and what I did with the band was I ended up just playing that reunion show with them. And then we wrote some music and recorded it and then didn't put it out. And then I put it out this year. I mean, no, I'm sorry. This year. It's not 2020 anymore. 2020 I did.
Please don't. I mean, I know we're like, 2 months into 2020 part 2, but
right. It's all blending together, man.
Yeah.
There's stuff that had that happened in 2019 that feels like it happened this year.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because it's all just
one little mush.
Yeah, just a shit smear just across the entire 19 months, So, but yeah, and then I because we just like randomly we just got the tracks from Johnny Fay, who was the original Deadwater Drowning guitar player. He recorded the songs that we wrote, and he sent us the tracks, like the actual, like the waves, like just the unmastered tracks. And I was like, I gave them to my friend James Diwali, who records bands, and he was the original guitar player in the band Organ Dealer, if you've ever heard of them.
I've heard the name.
Yeah. Heard the name also.
Yeah, but he mastered those really quick for me, and I just like put them on Bandcamp and on YouTube, and I was just like, okay, they're out now. And I get a little ding every now and then for the $1 or whatever, but it's a Deadwater Drowning. Yeah, I guess that's the only one that that I didn't.
So I want to do a little throwback.
Go ahead.
When I was doing Breath of Silence back in the
day.
That's how I met Gary, because I was we would play with Billy Club back in the day because we had some friends in common, and Gary hooked us up with
many
shows,
moons ago,
etc. But we played, me and you played some like Get on Hellfest fest, trying
I remember
battle of the bands. And literally, you
guys won, right?
We won. So there were like supposed to be 4 winners, and each stage was getting a winner. And we played on the same stage, and it came down to like 10 votes between my band and your band.
That's right.
And I remember you guys hated us because we won and y'all lost. And
I was like 19.
Yeah, but it was like 2004. Yeah, I think it was like 2004. And at that point, I didn't know you. Like, I didn't personally know you in any way. So I'm like, fuck them. We're winning. I don't give a shit. They're mad. We played a Pantera breakdown intentionally because we knew it would win it. So we played the end of This Love, basically.
Nice.
Just slammed that out, and I think that was the key to us winning that thing. So I'm sorry. What I came on here to say is I'm sorry, bud.
Well, looking back,
we didn't deserve it. We shouldn't have been there.
Looking back, I do not blame you guys. I mean, I did at the time when I was a kid. But then, as time passed, I was like, you know what? Nothing Left to Mourn should not have been on the show. They should have just been on Hellfest. I should have just gave them a slot just here.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been at that Battle of the Bands for any reason. They were already...
They were fine. So just put them on. You know what I mean? Right. And I was like, man, if they didn't, but even though even after that, we went to the diner, and then all of the crew were there, all those guys, those fellas. And Pat came over to our table and said, hey man, I thought you guys were really, really cool. You guys were a really nice band, and I wish wish you guys could have made it and shit. That would have been cool. And we were like, okay, sir.
You're like, please, thank you.
Yeah.
We had Pat on the show a couple, right at the beginning of doing it. And, to see the growth of Pat from back in the day, we're talking, incredible. I've known Pat since 96 or 7. So, the difference in Pat over the course of 25 years is huge.
And but I've known Pat even longer than that.
Right. So it's just it's good to see people grow, and I'm fully happy for him with his band and how well they do. But it's funny. I was thinking about what am I going to start with talking to Moe today, and I really wanted to bring that up because we haven't actually discussed it. What was the name of the band at that time?
For the Sake of Dying.
For the Sake of Dying.
Very
Record
2003.
anything and put it out? Is it out there anywhere?
I think I have it on my SoundCloud.
Okay.
But I don't think it's like out anywhere, you know what I mean?
Right.
It was just a very, very our generic attempt at having a first metalcore band. Me, my cousin Mark Dollar, who's also in Cipher, who's played lots of other things too. And
so y'all are cousins?
Yeah, we're cousins.
Okay.
Yeah, through marriage.
Well, it counts. It all counts.
Yeah, well, definitely, definitely. It's been a hell of a long time. Yeah. And that was just our first attempt at trying to have like a real band and like record a few songs and play some Battle of the Bands and try to get on some local shows, which we actually did. We did get on some shows and we played some places and it wasn't all bad, you know. Like, you know, we played in the city a decent amount. We played like Red Zone and like Pyramid Club.
Same. We were on the same circuit, son.
Yeah, we the Chitlin circuit, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's very likely that I was somewhere in the mix with those.
Yeah.
I used to go to the Red Zone. I used to work at the Red Zone sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pyramid, same thing. Like I was always there and on Sundays and played there many, many times.
Yeah, man. Baseball bat for a doorknob. Love it.
Hey, it works.
I let you know what you're getting yourself into.
Uh-huh.
So, what got you into playing? Like, I obviously you play drums. Do you play any other instruments?
Yeah. When I was like 18 or 19, I taught myself how to someone showed me how to do a power chord. So like
that's all I know. So
yeah. So I just like figured out how to do different things. Yeah, dude, it's crazy how much I've picked up and like just been able to do just from learning how to do a power chord and learning like sus chords and drop tuning.
Yep.
And you know, there's other like I've been able to figure out how to just be a decent Foo Fighters-esque rhythm guitar player. You know what I mean? And bass player, I'm actually a little bit better at the bass than I am at guitar, but I'm mainly a drummer. And I do sing too. I sing in the Ginty Band. I'm the singer.
Okay.
Technically. And the drummer. I play drums and sing.
So you play drums and sing at the same time?
Yeah.
So you do your best Phil Collins?
Yeah. Yeah, I try to do my best Phil Collins, but like the stuff is very bluesy, Allman Brothers-y sort of rock sort of stuff. So, I grew up playing gospel music, so I can fake that pretty good.
So is that where you really got your start playing gospel music?
Yeah, my family owns and operates a church and had pretty much always has, like before I was born until just, they have a church now on Bloomfield Avenue in Montclair. But that's where I grew to understand music and instruments and things like that. Like it was always around. My family is like a very musical, loud music church. You know what I mean?
So what brought you to the dark side with the heavy music then?
Oh, that wasn't until much later. But like, I really started picking up and messing around on the drums at like about 6 years old or so. And then, Nirvana was out and saw Dave Grohl on TV. And really the band that made me really want to play rock music was No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom, Adrian Young. Okay. Like just totally just because that was what I was used to hearing how drums sound. That's how they sounded to me at church. Big,
that's true.
Loud,
really.
Loud, cracky snare drums and a big bass drum and just loud crashing cymbals and open hi-hats and just busy stuff all the time. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, so you can do that and be playing rock music. Like,
I'm on board. I'm in.
Yeah, I didn't know. So, okay, all right, so cool. Nice. And then from there, it just kind of grew. I got into other rock bands and stuff. Like the Foo Fighters came out and got really into them. I didn't really get into like heavier music. Well, I got into like nu metal. Most people in our generation, 30s or so, had a nu metal phase. It was hard to, I mean, I guess some people were just that like deep and nuanced that like Limp Bizkit didn't hit them at all. But it was kind of hard for me being a 14-year-old and hearing that shit and being like, I don't like that, because I really did like it.
Yeah, I got so for me it's Deftones. That that was more my thing than Limp Bizkit. I heard Limp Bizkit. I didn't hate it at first, but I wasn't into it either. I just thought it was like kind of corny, but I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's
that's how I looked at it.
No.
But I was also a little older, so like I was already
exactly
down.
If I was 25 when Limp Bizkit came out, I'd be like, "Are you fucking serious?" Like, but like I was 13, so I was like, I heard, and this was their first album. Their first album, if you go back and listen to it, it's still very heavy and dark and weird and upset and unsettling. You know what I mean? And then like they put their second one out, and it was all the red hats and the dancing, and all you know what I mean? And then
it was the Money record.
Yeah. But before that, they were like they were just a weird, angry band with a screaming guy who rapped.
Right.
Yeah, they were definitely weird.
But yeah, the Deftones and Korn and Rage and all that stuff. High School Music. I also got really into like underground, like old school and unknown sort of like punk and post-punk music, because I had this really cool teacher who was like, my high school was strange. So like in May there wasn't school. It was something called Project Phase, where you just came to school. I went to St. Benedict's Prep in Newark. You just kind of come in and you just kind of like work on shit, or you just kind of like talk about and learn about a specific thing. And there's not like tests, or we could go to math and then go to this and that. You just kind of go in one place with the same group of people and just talk about the same shit or learn the same way. You go places. This one kind of really jaded, upset, with incredibly smart punk rock dude. His name was Dave Barocas, and he would do this thing called the Manhattan Project, where people would learn how to play songs for 30 days. You come in every day and you just kind of learn how to play guitar or bass or whatever fuck. And then at the end of it, you got to play you got to play a set in front of the whole school.
So it was basically like School Rock.
Yes, it's literally the exact same thing. And I don't know what came first, because I don't know that he just kind of knew about Paul Green, which is the first guy to do that in Philadelphia. I don't know if he just kind of knew that Paul Green was doing that and was just like, well, fuck it, I can do something like that here. They'll let me in, and I can just, sit on my desk with a guitar for 30 days and not give a fuck. You know what I mean? But that's where I learned about like XTC, who's my favorite band, and like the Buzzcocks and Catherine Wheel and Jason Faulkner and all this kind of weird kind of alternative.
Yeah, the alternative music stuff.
It's different things, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I didn't get into like really subgenre cool hardcore metal stuff until I got to college. And he plays bass for Fit now. His name's Blue.
Peter, I know Blue.
Plays Blue. Yeah. I just so happened to go to the same college as him and his group of friends, and I met him and his friends, and that's how I learned about all these kinds of bands. And because I had been playing drums and I was pretty readily equipped to play anything, I just started playing heavy music because it was just accessible. Playing with those kinds of bands was far more accessible. You know what I mean? If I could have found a cool rock band or something to play in, I would have did that too. But I just wanted to play, so it was easy to do that, so I did it. And just kind of boned up on it as quickly as I could.
So we actually me and Gary had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and it's going to come out, I think, next week or the week after, or something
the next 2 weeks.
So it's about
one of those long ones.
It's about 1991. So in 1991, I was 14, turning 15.
Yeah.
So like I'm a little bit older than you, and then Gary is just a little bit older than me.
Yeah, 91. I was 16, turning 17.
Something like that. I think
17 turning 18. I can't do math.
Yeah.
I was like 7.
So, but you say like you were hearing Nirvana or whatever. For me, you know how you were saying like you were listening to Limp Bizkit at 14. For me at 14, it was Nirvana, and like that. I mean, I had already been listening to rock music and like a little bit of metal at that point, but then Nirvana really like cracked it wide open for me, and like all the bands around that, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, etc. Like that was my personal turning point, where like I never actually went back the other way to listening to other stuff as an exclusive thing. Like, I still listen to hip hop even now. Like, if something catches my ear, I'm listening to it.
Same.
But it's much fewer and far between the further and further I get away from 91. So it's just
about that point of reference. I mean, when you're at a certain age, I feel like you take so much in. You take so much less in the older that you get.
Right, you're just like, I can't. My brain is full right now. I can't do this.
When
I got so many other things going on.
When you were 20, you can get into fucking 18 bands a week.
Mm-hmm.
This band, that band, that demo, that CD, this, that, and the other. It's all
because you got time.
Yeah,
you got time. You don't have the things that an adult has.
Swirling time, and you got energy.
Yeah, and damn it, you just want to turn on the music and feel good.
Yeah. And staying up till like 3 a.m. listening to music wasn't like wrong. Now if I stay up till 3 a.m, tomorrow is done. I'm already done.
You better have a good damn reason for having done it. You know what I mean?
I mean, so we've all traveled. The worst is when you roll into the house at 4 a.m, knowing you have to be somewhere at like 7 or 8 in the morning the next day, and you're just staring at the ceiling like, I need to go to bed right now, but I'm so wired from driving for 16 hours to get home.
That's what's so funny. It's so funny you mention it, because I think about like when I was younger and like I would play a show on a Friday night and then go to work Saturday morning. And now at 47, I'm like, oh, fuck no.
Yeah. If I play a show on a Friday night, Monday is still rough. I'm like, God,
that's what I'm saying. Like now I'm like, oh, damn.
I feel you, man. Well, luckily the last show I played was in June, and that I'd have to say that was pretty demanding. It was the first drive-in concert in New Jersey's history.
Oh, wow.
You played that?
Yeah.
Which band?
John Ginty Band.
Okay.
Us, and we had Marcus Randolph from the Robert Randolph and the Family Band up there with us, and a couple of other guests. But yeah, we played a drive-in concert in June. I think it's the first weekend in June of 2020.
Who else played that show? Like, what other entities played that show? I didn't.
It was just us.
It was okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just us. We went up there, did almost a couple hours, and
man, a couple hours. Whew.
Oh man, when I play with John, it's pretty much like, more or less like the jam band culture, the Allman Brothers,
right?
Santana.
So just keep going.
Grateful Dead sort of thing, where there's a lot of jamming, solos getting thrown around. I have to solo, which is not my strongest. Which is not my strongest point, honestly speaking. And I don't necessarily like playing without music.
Right.
Like, I just don't like it. I know that I have to do it, and it's not like I'm not completely incapable of it, but I don't prefer it. It's not my most favorite thing to do. But yeah, it's I've done like 2 hours, 2+ hours with John before.
I'm telling you right now, when I get done with my little piddly 20-minute set, I'm like, all right, it's done, game over, time for me to take a nap. I like, if I had to play 2 hours, I don't think I'd make it.
I've never done 2 hours straight. I mean, I've played with multiple bands in one night and probably played like the equivalent of an hour and a half, but I've never done 2 hours straight. I think the longest I've done in a single set is probably like 50 minutes, close to an hour.
Yeah. Man, it's the best piss of your life when you get done with that shit.
That's for sure. Yeah, I
think
in the
bathroom singing.
I think headlining like Europe or something, we probably done like 50, 55, 60.
Yeah.
That's probably the longest we've gone.
That's what those are the like Hulud. When we do over the overseas headlining thing, we have to do like 13 songs, which is
those are some complicated ass songs too, because
that's what I'm
yeah. But so you did 13 songs.
We would do we would do like 13 songs, and like those were the sets. Like it's like I'd rather do 3 hours with John than 1 hour of Shai Hulud. You know what I mean? Just to like,
Right.
I could just like thinking of what that would look like on paper, because Shai Hulud songs aren't very long. So for us to do an hour-long set would be like 20 songs, and just looking at all the blocks, because we got to do bang bang and talk, or bang 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 talk. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's another level of endurance. That's like CrossFit for a few months before you go out for the tour. It's like even meal prepping and shit before you leave.
So playing with Shai Hulud,
Yeah.
So we've been indirectly working together in the past month on this cover song that's going to come out. We don't need to talk about what song it is, but you track drums at your like personal spot.
Yep.
And then Eric tracked bass in New York City somewhere at his house. And then Matt Fox came to me and tracked guitars, and we sent it all up to Nada Studio. He's working on that, and then they came yesterday, and
That's
Jay
right.
did the vocals, and Matt did some backups. Working with Matt, how is that for you? Because he is one picky motherfucker.
Well, let's just say that I have never had to work with him underneath the confines of recording with him in the studio.
Like in the room, okay.
Yeah, so I can't speak to that specifically, and I understand how specific of an arrangement that is, so I can't speak to that experience for anyone else.
I'm talking about when you're preparing to play these songs live and you get in a room and you're practicing. I imagine that Matt's like, no, you're playing it wrong. It's this and this and this. Am I right?
Well, yeah. Well, okay, I'll tell you the story. We played in Austin.
Okay.
And, so we played in Austin, and we were playing For the World. Chop it, that one. So
right.
we played it, and like, I can't remember. I think, so like we played the whole. I think it was For the World was like in the middle of the set somewhere. I'm just trying to remember correctly, because he didn't say anything to me like after, like during the song or after it or nothing. So it's like we literally, I feel like we play like, we did our last song and we're crashing out. Thank you guys so much. Bam. And he walks right over to me like, what happened to her For the World? What was that? I'm like, man, we just stopped playing. Everybody's looking at us. Like,
Can we talk about this backstage?
Yeah, bro.
Can we handle this in 5 minutes?
And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. The song sounded fine to me. I mean, it took me. That was a really humbling experience, and I have to commend him for having written this music that is so. Because like, I thought like Deadwater Drowning's music was very complex and hard, and I really worked hard to play that music. I was not capable of doing it when I said, yeah, I'll play drums for your band. I can do that. I was not capable of it. So I had to work hard and to be able to do it. But like Shai Hulud, like because the song structures are so abstract, I literally just had to make lists of because I didn't know them from a can of paint. I did not know the songs, any of them.
Right.
I couldn't hum you a tune, anything. So I really had to work hard. And then like he does, and then we had our first rehearsal. I remember talking to him. I forget what song it was. I was like, yeah, so that like 16th note part, the 16th note parts on the toms. How many times does that go? And he was like, six. What is 16? What is that?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
And I went, oh boy, because I had like several more questions worded that specifically. So he basically showed me a lot of the parts just
on his
tapping or getting on the drums himself and half-ass showing me what the part is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd get and then clean it up. I get on the drums and clean it up, and he'd be like, yeah, it's like that.
So I have been asked to join Shai Hulud no less than 9 times.
Wow.
because I'm friends with Matt. Like I like Matt. Don't anybody listen to this, don't get the wrong impression. I love Matt, but I also know that I could never work with Matt in that situation because I am not that picky. So if it's close, it's close. It's good enough.
Oh man, like, I've seen him be rough on some rhythm guitars about like
and
sitting down, getting the part right. Like he'll sit down and get the part right with you every fucking day if he has to. You know what I mean?
I know that I would just end up jamming him in the face with my guitar and be like, "Fuck this! You play it your goddamn self," because I'm picky when it comes to my stuff, but as long as it's close, it's good enough for live because 90% of the people fill in that extra shit themselves. You just hear what you want to hear live. So as long as you're not in the wrong key or you're off like you're not off a half a step or something like that. If your picking is just like slightly off of mine, nobody's even going to notice that. But I know that if I was to join Shai Hulud and I was picking something just a little bit wrong, that me and Matt would be at war every night.
He will definitely notice it.
The Austin story. So like he was like, he's like, well, my friend took a video of it, and we'll watch and see what part of what I'm talking about. But I'm like, if something was wrong. So like the next day, we were at a gas station or something. He was like, my friend sent me the video. Do you want to go watch the video? I'm like, yeah, man, sure. I really don't remember playing anything wrong, but let's go. Let's do it.
And were you wrong?
No. The song was fine.
And then what did he say?
He was like, "What?" We went back through, watched it again. He was like, "No," and then he went to the part that he thought it was, and he was like, "Right here, watch." And
you're like,
fine.
"Nope, boom, right."
Everything was fine.
So, what's the hardest song to learn? What was the hardest song to learn for them?
I'm gonna have to say, definitely, not profound. His hands would only kill. Because that song, it's one of those songs where all the parts are different and all the transitions are different, but they all sound similar. That's kind of the weird puzzling thing about learning Shai Hulud's music, is that so much of it, like the song, all of the parts sound relevant to one another. They're all variations of one another, but they're all sometimes and at times completely different.
Yeah, drum wise, completely different.
Everything will just be like, so like, so I think that definitely profound is one of the hardest ones. Let me look at my set list really quick, and I'll tell you right now, because I'm kind of blanking, because we started to get things together because we were going to play Furnace Fest.
Right, he was talking about that, and that it's still kind of on, but it's up to obviously the fest promoter whether they're going to push through with that. But for me, my heart bleeds the darkest blood. The speed of it seems like what would throw me off if I was a drummer, because it's like the notes feel like they kind of wait for you to stay all the way in the pocket, at least based on how it was recorded.
Yeah. And that's another thing, is like interpreting and here's the funny thing about a lot of this is that about a quarter of the set has like morphed and changed by means of other guys who have played drums in the band, and like he wants you to play drums like that part. So like,
like the new guy,
this guy who, like Matt Covey, bless his heart.
Yeah,
I know Matt. He was in the Matt. He was like kind of like the last main drummer, and he did it for however long. So like a lot of times, like he'll pull up like a shitty flip phone video of like them playing in Japan in 2009 or some shit, and be like, I want you to do it like this. It's like I can't hear that. But like but
work for me.
It's weird. It's like it's almost like it's like how stories would get passed down before there were like books and shit. He's just pounding away the set list on his chest and teaching it to new people. It's crazy, but it works.
So at some point, and I don't know if you know this, but there were like 4 Matts in Shai Hulud
I remember.
at the same time. That's too many Matts. How does anybody keep track?
W. Fox Fletcher and
the dude from Philadelphia starts with a C, or was it Matt Mazzali at the time?
Matt Mazzali. Yeah.
Okay.
Mazzali's a good dude, man.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, dude, that's like the hardest material I've ever had to learn in my whole life was the Shai Hulud stuff, and it took me like that's an exaggeration. It took me like maybe a couple of weeks into because my first tour was 9 weeks long.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, the first one I ever did, like Matt called me and I was in Pennsylvania with Doc and Ravi doing Vegas Nerve stuff, and I got a call from Paul Klein from Suburban Scum and Phantom Pain and a bunch of other bands. World Demise, that's the other one.
Yep.
He's got a few. He's got a bunch. But yeah, he passed my name to Fox.
Because I'm sure Matt was like, "Yo, Paul, come play this," and Paul was like, "Nah, no. I'm good. Nah, I'm good."
I know this other guy though. He's crazy.
So, who are your favorite drummers?
It's all over the map, man. For lots of different reasons. But let's start. So Adrian Young from No Doubt, Dave Grohl, and to a much lesser extent Taylor Hawkins. Who else? Darren Jesse from Ben Folds 5. My cousin, my uncle George. Just his whole approach to how big drums sound when you play them. It's just like how I sound. But Kevin Talley.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Great drummer.
Just grown man drum. Like when I think about like extreme metal drumming and like how when I approach having, because I have to do that every now and then for whatever reason. When I think about playing extreme metal drums, it's Kevin Talley. So it's like he's got a decent amount of speed, but all this power and the groove feels right, pocket feels right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I extreme metal kind of left me behind a while ago once like all the double stroke bass pedal stuff came in.
Right.
And all the magic tricks and the techniques and the triggering and like, I mean that stuff has always been kind of there, but like now it's like the standard of playing that music.
Yeah, if you can't do that, then
sorry, dude. Yeah. You know?
Well, I remember the first time I saw Tally. My old band 5 Minute Major played in Baltimore with Dying Fetus, and he was playing for them. And there were just like 4 of us. It was in this little tiny place, and there were 4 of us in the back of the stage just watching him and just looking at each other like, what the fuck?
Hitting hard.
Oh my God, it was insane. It was so good. And all of us are just gathered around him like fucking kids, just like, whoa.
Just staring.
Oh my God, it was crazy. It was so good.
Yeah, man, his work with Fetus on Killing on Adrenaline and Destroy the Opposition.
Yeah. And
this EP he recorded with Misery Index called Descent.
Yes.
Like that's what I do when I play heavy music, just a little bit more black.
Right.
Yeah, that was around the time that Destroy the Opposition came out.
Yeah.
And just wow, it was just mind blowing.
See, for me, one of my favorite drummers, my 2 favorite drummers are Lombardo and Nick Menza. But after that, it's Mike Smith from Suffocation.
Yep.
Another unsung hero.
Yo, the halftime blast. Bop, 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 bop. Yo, I'm on it every time.
Yeah, dude. Another dude that just played with so much power, and it's just like, how are you doing that? Because he was so stiff.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I just think that he was so strong that he could just keep doing it.
Yep.
Because he was a freaking. If you look at him, he's a specimen, man. He's jacked.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of people sleep on that, and all the Suffocation stuff is wild.
All of it. But yeah, them Mark Castillo,
for
from
Bury Your
Bury Your Dead. Yeah, for like it's interesting. The reason why I like him is because he made the bass drum like a lead instrument.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I can see that.
Some like bands would play breakdowns. Everybody plays the thing together. We are playing the thing to. You know what I mean? Like, but like the band would do the thing, and then it'd be like, all right, bass drum, lead instrument. I'm gonna play over that. I'm gonna play what they're doing, but I'm also gonna play other shit.
I'm adding some shit to this.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
It's just, and I just love that. You know.
So me and Gary played a show. I'm pretty sure that the show was Breath of Silence, some other band, Billy Club Sandwich, Full Blown Chaos, It Dies a Day, and Bury Your Dead, all at some club in upstate New York. I'm pretty sure.
Probably. We played with Bury Your Dead a few times, and so that's probable.
I mean, when Bury Your Dead hit the fucking stage, the room was just absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was before they went like in a whole different direction.
When they went,
that was like first record.
Yeah, I'm talking first record when everybody was just like, "Yo, this band is so fucking hard."
Yeah, because we played with them a bunch of times between like when they still had demos and then the first record.
When they had two singers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And before they started to get really big.
Didn't their drummer leave and play for
Crossfade?
Well, there was another drummer that left and played for Between the Buried and Me. He played on Silent Circus.
That's Mark.
That's Mark? Okay.
That's the same dude.
That's the same dude?
Yeah, he left Bury Your Dead and went and did the Silent Circus. And I guess what I've heard is the story is that he's like, this shit is boring as hell. And these guys are whack. Or these guys are, but this is just not his, it was just too nerdy and boring for him. So he went back to Bury Your Dead. That's when they did Cover Your Tracks.
Right.
And he did Cover Your Tracks and Beauty and the Breakdown with them, and then left after that. That's what Dustin stepped in, I think.
Yeah, and then he ended up playing for Muir, I think, also.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But I just love the way that dude plays. He plays like he listens to black music. You can just tell when a drummer doesn't.
Well,
you know what I mean? You can hear it.
It doesn't have that thing.
You can hear it. You know what I mean? Because when you play something as primal as drums, you're just regurgitating whatever is in your mind. Your arms and legs are just moving. You don't have a chord to hit. You don't have a pitch. You don't have a fingering. I mean, your fingers are moving, but it's all just percussive.
Right.
Kind of impulses. You know what I mean? So
then it's like if it's in you, it comes out at you.
It'll come out. You know what I mean? But like if you don't have any point of reference for things that like, especially if you're trying to play music that grooves, that's why everybody liked Bury Your Dead, because they groove so much.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? Like they wasn't like a full blown or 100 Demons where like it was heavy, but it was, straightforward, rigid caveman stuff, which is great. You know what I mean?
So speaking of that,
yeah,
were you ever or even currently a Pantera fan?
I loved Pantera. Here's the thing. Before the White Power thing, I really, really loved Pantera. And even that first Down record, too, I was like, that's cool. But I realized that what I liked was really just Kirk Weinstein's riffs.
Right.
But Pantera was a band that just was, I thought, was really, really special and meant a lot to me. It's hard.
Phil ruined it.
Yeah. And it's hard. Like, the song will come on, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah. I'll still groove. I might still groove. But where I'm going with that is Vinnie Paul definitely listened to some black music at some point, because there's no way he could have grooved the way that he grooved.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You could tell, I mean, the way that the whole band approached how they sound was just so wet and groovy.
Swampy. It was just swampy.
Yeah.
Yeah, swampy is a good word to use.
And God bless them, to this day, I've never heard anybody play heavy metal guitar like that since then.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like,
kind.
Yeah, Like
many have tried.
If that's what they're doing, no one has even come close, like remotely close to sounding like how that dude sound when he played guitar. He was like the Jimi Hendrix of heavy metal to me. You know?
And that shitty ass singer ruined it.
Right? Now I can't
made it feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I feel uncomfortable. I hear his voice and I'm like, oh, what does he mean?
No.
You know?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Power to who?
You go back and you read the lyrics in a different light and you're like, oh fuck.
Well, I mean, there's all those videos, you can find them on YouTube, of him saying really questionable things in between songs back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's hard to add, like, sometimes, like, things just add up. You know what I mean? Like, it's like when you spent too much money. You know, it's like $5 here, 75 cents there, $10 there, $30 there. And then you spend $500. You're like, holy shit, I'm spending a lot of money.
Right. And you look like, well, I spent a whole lot of money the whole time, but now I just doubled it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like, I feel like that one last thing was just like, that was the one thing too many.
Yeah.
It was one transaction, just too many for a lot of people to absolutely ignore. We ignored all the Confederate flag stuff. We ignored all the in between the song, white kids, don't let anybody tell you it's not okay to be white. We ignored all of that shit for years. You know what I mean? And then he went on stage and he did that in front of everybody in the age of smartphones and social media. And it's just like, sorry.
Yep.
You had
that was it.
So many chances.
And you squandered every single one of them.
Yeah. So that was just so many times we were just like, oh no, it's all right.
Took it too far.
One too many.
So I have personally removed them from any of my playlists. Like, I won't intentionally seek it out. But if somebody else plays it, I still bang my fucking head, because the songs, I still musically can attach myself to the songs, but I still do struggle also with the lyrical content because of the person delivering it to me.
Yeah.
So
that's difficult.
That's where I'm at with it. But
that's difficult for some, and it isn't for some. You know, some people are just like, well, you know, you apologize, and you know, it's like, okay, if you can still feel like that, then I guess all power to you. You know, have fun with the end of domination. But
I mean, that shit is hard though.
I know, man.
That shit do be in though.
And that's the infuriating part.
Right.
That's what's mad. That's what makes me mad. It's just like, I want to like this. I want to listen to it.
So current, like, when I say current, I'm talking mid 90s through now, hardcore, metalcore, whatever. I feel like it owes a debt of gratitude to Domination, Rain and Blood, and anything that hits hard off of Chaos AD. Without those three things, mosh parts these days would be nowhere.
Yeah, those three Destroy, Race, Improve sure. too, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
Or Chaos Fear. That
Chaos
whole record.
I mean, yeah, but Meshuggah is it's like kind of, it's crazy how influential they've become.
Oh yeah.
You know, but like, I don't know. They still, no bands sound like them. It's like it's an impossibility. You only sound like you are influenced by them. You can't sound like them.
No, it's never. What I find fascinating too is that you have a whole. I don't want to say genre, because then we bring that other D word that I refuse to use.
Subgenre is fine though.
Yeah, but it's crazy because there's a whole group of bands that are influenced by them, and you can tell. But then they're doing all this melodic stuff too.
Yes, the new progressive metal movement.
Yeah,
pretty much what it is. Like, progressive metal now is basically just like Meshuggah and, like, I don't know, smooth jazz.
jammed together.
Well, you
just
got
smashed together.
Yeah, because you got stuff like Animals as Leaders, which is like that, with a little bit of Nintendo thrown in.
Yeah,
and then stuff like Periphery that has that whole melodic thing to it. But then you got other bands that just try to keep it heavy and do all the weird syncopated Meshuggah type stuff. It's just weird. Like you said, how there's so many bands that you can tell are influenced by that.
They're in the blueprint now. They're like in the alphabet. Yep. You know what I mean? Like they're like, that's what, like, Metallica was kind of in that spot for a pretty long time. Right. You know, but like I feel like Meshuggah is like, now they're in that place where if you start a metal band, if you were to try and start a metal band now, you would do something in some part of your song that sounds like something they would do. Mm-hmm. And that's about as close as you'd get.
Because like, for me, when I heard Chaos Sphere, and specifically Corridor of Chameleons, that end breakdown,
yep,
I can hear it right now and want to throw my chair. So it's like, for me, you're hitting it perfect, saying that they're part of the blueprint. I might not ever attempt to write something like that myself, but if I hear another band, I would expect that they would. I'm just from a different time frame, but that shit is still hard. Oh, yeah. Still hard.
Yeah, I do my best to try and to make sure that, like, 'cause I have a lot of you know, I have some drum students that are on the older side, you know, teenagers and stuff like that, and that's what teenagers listen to. They're listening to, you know, Leprous and Pleady and all of these
like
super progressive, like, crazy bands, and like they're like, I want to learn how to play this.
And you're like, well, start here.
And I'm like, yeah, let's talk about, like, you know, let's talk about, like, this Between the Buried and Me. Let's go backwards to something that's got some, like, choppy heavy metal things and breakdowny stuff, the stuff that you'll be able to navigate yourself through. Because if there's anything that, like, the hardest part about playing heavy metal is just getting yourself through the hoops in the songs, and especially once those, you know, it's like, and that's pretty easy to do when all the hoops are the same size and the tempo doesn't change and the time signature doesn't change. But once the tempos and time signatures are changing all the time, you know, like, that's almost unteachable at certain levels. You gotta, like, take it back.
You gotta work up to it.
Yeah, I gotta get you to an obstacle course that you'll actually make it to the end of before we can work on that one.
So,
you know,
I'm in a band with Chris from Nora.
Cool.
We're called Dead Torches, but a lot of times I'll get to talking to him about drums in general, and what I thought was complicated was Candiria, and he's like, that shit's not complicated. And he's like,
what?
He's like, he's playing the same speed the whole time. What's complicated is the signature change, but not the tempo, because the tempo feels the same almost all the time throughout all their songs.
Dude.
So
yeah, I understand that. You know who was like that?
Who?
Animosity.
Okay. I saw them. We actually played with them once. We were leaving for a U.S. tour, and we played like 2 bands before they played, but we stayed and watched Animosity. It was great, but I guess I can see that. It's like everything is just like...
Everything is like... You know, like, you could sit there and nod your head through the entire song, but the riffs are just like, but you can nod to it.
Clack the whole time.
You can nod to it, but you can't. It's just, it's next. You know what I mean? It's next level.
Because like, for me, I thought that Candiria was mind blowing drumming.
It is,
but I never thought about it like the way that he put it, saying that it doesn't break out of the time, that like that feel the whole time, and like that it's just about getting into the right rhythm and you just play it.
First off, Ken Shock deserves
Ken Shaw is a fucking amazing drummer.
Oh, he's unreal.
He deserves 90% of the respect that is reserved for all the hardcore drummers in the entire tapestry of music, just for what that motherfucker was doing in the fucking 90s.
Yep.
I mean,
the way that he was.
Meshuggah says that they were.
They said that they were influenced by what Candiria was doing, which is crazy.
Yeah, because I think they were coming over here in the 90s and touring, playing New York City with them and shit.
Yeah, I saw them at Coney Island High.
And they heard that groove and they were like, yo, we got a fucking groove like that.
And I think Dillinger was on that show also, if I remember right.
They heard that motherfucker playing hardcore like that and they were like, yo, we need that. We need to do something like that. The heavy metal Metallica thing it's cool, but I mean, if we want to, we got to think about the large group of people, because if you can get a large group of people to stomp their foot or nod their head or jump up and down in unison, you can play whatever you fuck you want, as long as you can do that. And that's pretty much what Meshuggah's been doing since like 99.
Yeah, the Nothing EP. That was the real change for them, was switching to like a truly just plain percussive sound.
Yeah.
And for me, they lost me at that point. It's just not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It's good. Like, it sounds fine. But I liked the more chaotic shit before it.
Yeah. By the way, I just looked it up. It was July of 1998. It was Meshuggah Candiria and the Dillinger Escape Plan.
Okay.
Crazy.
That was, so, again, I've seen some crazy shows. What shows have you seen where you look back and you go, oh shit, I saw that and I can't even believe I paid $10 to see it?
That would probably be Candiria's first show back after the accident.
Oh, okay.
It was them, Hope Conspiracy, and Poison the Well, I think.
Where was that show at?
That was CB's.
CB's?
Yeah.
I don't think I made it to that one.
I think that because that was that had to be 2002, 3.
I think I was at that show.
That shit was like a riot, man.
Yeah. Anytime Candiria played, it was crazy.
Yeah, but then this was their first show back after they, after they almost died. Yeah, at the accident. And it was just hardcore. What drew me to hardcore shows in general is just there's really nothing else in life. That's why people always talk about how it's like a riot, or just there's nothing that you can be in the midst of and feel that much unhinged primal energy.
Yeah,
that a whole human could just fall on the crown of your head. Wherever you are, a whole person could just fall down on top of you. It feels like that. And it is like that a lot of the time.
Yeah, I agree, because the strangest thing is trying to explain hardcore shows to somebody that has no frame of reference at all.
Can't.
They just can't compute it.
Yeah, so at work, people will be like, "What did you do this weekend?" I went and played this show, or I went to see whatever, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And they're like, well, tell me about it. I'm like, I really can't, because there's no way for me to explain this for you to understand why I'm even here.
Totally.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine at work. We were talking music. This was years ago. And he was like a deadhead. So he's like, oh, you play music? I'm like, yeah, but... And then, you know what? I was just like... I sent him a couple of YouTube links, and he was just like, "Whoa, this is way crazier than what I mess with." And he was like, "It's cool. It's great that you're able to do that and go travel and stuff, but being a deadhead, it was just so completely different from anything that he had been exposed to." He's like, "I can't believe nobody got arrested."
So Breath of Silence played at the Chance, the actual Chance, with not one of the other two stages there, not upstairs or the front Club Crannel or whatever. Yeah. We played the Chance with Converge, Unearth, and Shai Hulud, and we were the opening band. And I brought my my best friend from high school, Andy, he's been on the show. Like, he's been my best friend my whole entire life, but he's not into hardcore at all. He's not into punk rock, nothing. He, like, if he was going to go see something, it would be like the Ben Folds 5. So I was like, yo, bro, just come watch this show. We're on this huge show. It's sold out, like 1,000 tickets. I'll just bring you in with me as part of the roadie crew. Just come. So he's like, all right, fine. He rides up there, and we play. And, like, it went off for us a little bit. But then when the rest of the bands, he's just looking at me like, this is what you do? And I'm like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've had that happen many times.
Yeah.
It's just,
the first time I ever saw a show like that was, some friends from college took me to see Every Time I Die in Dillinger in Boston.
Oh, wow.
In like 2003, like early, maybe March 2003.
So it was a big show, but a small show at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I mean, if you can just imagine 4 years later, both of those bands, you know what I mean?
No kid, one of the hugest bands ever.
Yeah.
Each one of them.
Yeah. But this is like 2003. So this is like, Calculating Infinity is out and Last Night in Town is out, but, Hot Damn is coming out in a few months. Yeah. Right. So like I saw that shit and I was like, oh, wow. You know, I'd never seen anything like that in my life. Yeah. And then like, you know, because Every Time I Die play for, I think the Red Chord was supposed to play, but they didn't come. I think like something happened and the Red Chord didn't come.
I just think about all the shows that I saw and all these bands that I saw for like no money that define the generation of that music.
Yep.
And it's mind-blowing sometimes.
There's so many. Like when I was talking, we've talked about it on a couple of shows. Like the first hardcore show that I ever went to was like the Cro-Mags. This was 1991. The Cro-Mags, when Harley and John got back together the first time. And it was the Cro-Mags, Leeway, Nonfiction, Typo Negative, their first show as Typo Negative before the first record even came out.
Jesus.
And Biohazard, and the opening band was White Zombie. When the only gimmick they had was just Christmas lights on their amps.
So a show you could easily charge $100 for today.
Right. And think about where all of those bands ended up. But especially White Zombie opening the show, and look at what happened to them.
One of the hugest bands of all time.
Yeah, like years later, I was watching them do arenas with Pantera, and it's like, holy shit. I remember when they were a local band with like Christmas lights.
So you went up to that show in Boston, and you're just watching the show, and it's just the most crazy shit you've ever seen?
Yeah, because this was, and Greg had just joined the band, and Greg was just an unhinged animal at that point because they didn't really have Miss Machine out yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like Every Time I Die plays. So like my frame of reference for shows was kind of messed up because I'd only never been to like concerts. You know what I mean? I'd never been in like VFW super local high school giggle fest fucking shows, you know, stupid shit. So like a lot of people, if you don't understand like the frame of reference, you don't understand that there's a whole middle there.
Right. Where,
you know what I mean? There's a middle there between like the VFW, my buddy's band from science classes playing fucking Knights of Columbus, and like Green Day at the Forum. You know, there's a massive middle there, and I had no idea. So like Every Time I Die plays, and I go, wow, well that was really something. That was really great. And then like Dillinger Escape Plan's about to play, and I was like, I think I'll go buy an Every Time I Die shirt. That was pretty good. So I went to get one, and Andy is at the table,
right? And
he sold me the fucking shirt,
and you're like, wow, he just got off the stage.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't
be able to meet the people that are
exactly.
If you've never experienced it, you have no frame of reference for this. You know what I mean? Like none. Mm-hmm. So that show was kind of what kind of got me. And it's like, and then I went to Hellfest in Syracuse later on that year. That's kind of what kind of cemented me being really, really into this kind of music.
So I was there there's video footage of me being there because Lamb of God played that one, and you can, if you watch the Hellfest video, you can clearly see me like breaking people wide open at certain points.
just being an asshole.
Yeah. But I went to Hellfest in Syracuse 3 years in a row. I think I went 01, 02, 03, 01, 02, and 03, and then 04 was in New Jersey. Yeah, which we've already discussed. Did you actually come to that show?
Yeah, I was there, dude.
Okay,
the one in Jersey.
Yeah.
How much of a fucking war zone was that place?
Man, there's some things that I missed. I missed the Unearthed set because I was never too much into them. So I know that the Unearthed set, like, didn't somebody jump off the thing and break their legs?
Yeah.
Like, I was in, because I liked a lot of, like, kind of like smaller dinosaur stage bands and Hot Topic stage bands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So From a Second Story Window was fun. They had trampolines. Did they have trampolines? Or did Yeah. From a Second Story Window had trampolines.
Well, they just dragged them over from the other, like, just the other side of the thing.
Yeah, they took them and brought them on stage.
Were you there during, like, the Nazi wars where people were getting dumped in the trash cans and, like, beaten to hell?
Dude, so I left that third day. I was like, here, check this out. Like, niggas had to call me and tell me about that. I was at home.
You were home?
I was at, like, I went there the third day, but I think I watched whoever I wanted to see. And, like, the third day was a lot of, like, it's like Chimera. I liked Chimera, but, like, I had already seen them a couple times that year. I was like, I don't need to see Chimera again. And it was like Fear Factory, right? And, like, it was like kind of like sort
Fear
of
Factory, like E-Town, I think.
Yeah, so, like, I think I went there.
Bad Luck 13, which is where all the fun happened.
I went there for like the first couple 2-3 hours and saw the whatever bands I wanted to see. If I had the line up here, I could tell you. But
well, I know we played first on the Hot Topic stage that day.
Yeah, so I was definitely there for that.
You came and watched us?
I don't know, probably not.
I would assume you did not come and watch us, because if we were referred to the beginning of this conversation, y'all was mad.
Yes. Man, I gotta spend
I don't even remember you playing that day.
Well, we literally played at noon. Nobody was in the fucking room. We played
probably
nobody.
Why I wasn't getting out of bed that early.
But yeah, I mean, I left, and like I was at home, and Mark called me, I guess, and was like, "Yo, man, like this is crazy shit happened." And I was like, "What?" Like, yeah, it was a riot, basically.
Yeah, it was a full-on riot, my man.
I just watched video of that again, like a week or so ago.
Well, the Jersey scene was just, it had gotten so unhinged by that point that there was something like that was bound to happen, because, like, I mean, even just from the local shows that I had went to, you saw so much ignorant stuff happening at the shows, and it went unchecked for so long. There's just like some, like, you know, like events like that, and then like the guy who died, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just like unfortunately, like, you know, that's just how human beings are. You don't check human beings, shit happens, man. You know, so it's like you're gonna get riots and dead people and paralyzed people or whatever the fuck. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that happened. I mean,
yeah, totally.
I was not. So I was at. I got the phone call about the kid who died while I was at the mall with my girlfriend at the time, but clearly ex-girlfriend now, and everybody's just texting and calling, "Yo, some dude got beat to death," and I'm like, I don't want to know anything. Please don't tell me who did it. I don't care. I'm glad I wasn't there, and I'm glad that you can't tie me to any of this. You know, good luck to whoever it was, because I'm out.
And it's so odd because I didn't know about that until like a year later, probably.
Really?
Yeah. And I was there.
You were at the show.
Wait, which day was that?
No, it wasn't at Hellfest. It was at just Club Deep or something like that in Asbury Park.
Oh, yeah, it was in Asbury, yeah.
It was just like a whole nother day.
Right.
But like the following year, I think, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was I think it was 2004.
Oh, that's right.
Or
It was
5.
the year. It was the year that they had to scramble because it got canceled, right?
Well, it was after Hellfest. It was like
Okay.
It was like
Hellfest wasn't a thing.
September.
I think this was just a random normal
just like
show.
a random
Oh, it's a regular
show.
show. Okay.
Yeah. But
I'm getting it all mixed up.
anyhow,
It all put
I
together.
was just happy to have not been at that show, not
Absolutely.
have been involved, because like you could get pulled into that shit real quick. Like you're
Yep.
standing around with your friends and everybody's outside fighting, and then all of a sudden you're outside fighting, and nah, I'm good.
Been there, done that.
Because once someone hits you in the face, you're fighting.
Right? I mean,
You know.
that's the
Yeah.
way it goes.
That's how it works.
You're not sure which side you're on, but you know you're on yours.
Yeah.
It'll get sorted out.
Yeah.
And let's be clear. I'm not out looking for fights ever. I've never been a guy that's out looking
Oh
for fights.
no.
But I'm also not going to get punched in the mouth and not punch back.
Yes.
So it is what it is.
Well, but back to the Hellfest thing. Like you said, there was just so much ignorance going around, and the story that I love is the white power dude just getting beaten out the door.
Right.
That's what started it. That's kind of what kicked it all off, right?
Well,
was like
it got
that
kicked
dude.
off because Bad Luck 13 was playing, and Bad Luck 13 never finishes. Well, back in those days, Bad Luck 13 never used to finish a set because all the madness would happen. So Bad Luck 13 starts, and all the bottle rockets are flying, and everything else is flying, and eventually some guy, I assume somebody already was hip to what the dude was up to.
Well, all right. So there's
Some
a
guy's
portion of
shirt
this-
got ripped.
There's a portion of this that started the day before.
Okay.
Some notorious people that have been at shows and I'm not trying to put anybody's name out there, but figured out that they were Nazis the day before
Okay.
and put them out of the show the day before.
Okay. I
Told
did
them
not know that.
Told them don't come back.
Oh. Yeah.
So then when they were back, they had to pay.
Okay, so that feeds right into what I was saying, because I remember one guy got his shirt ripped off, and suddenly it was like, bam, big swastika tattoo.
Yep.
And you know how that works at hardcore shows. Once you see that,
No.
that's
go
the
time.
target.
It's go time.
So I watched that dude get smacked up out the door. He's laying on the ground outside, and the cops show up and look down at him and are just like, oh, well, what do we have here? and like, I'm a couple feet away from this dude, and we're all just dying laughing because the cops, two cops, white cop and a black cop, and the white cop said that, and then you just saw the face on the black cop, and he was just like shaking his head like, shit. And we were just laughing because we were like, this dude is going to get the full treatment tonight.
Oh, he definitely got. They definitely got it in on him.
Man. But yeah, they beat his ass out the door, and he was just laying there with the swastika tattoo out in the open air. It was like, it's not going to be a good day for you, buddy.
Not gonna be good. So, side note.
Yes.
Show I saw in Philadelphia was Biohazard, Candiria, and Propane. Candiria opened the show, Propane played in the middle, and then Biohazard. So Candiria played, everything was fine, we were just beating each other up, and then I went upstairs to just sit down during Propane because I like it, but I don't care. I'm not going to be on the floor for that.
Yeah.
As soon as they kick into the first riff, Bomber Jacket comes open, Singh Island in the middle of the thing, and
no.
I mean, my man was going in with it, and then out of nowhere, I mean, it didn't last but more than 6 seconds of him Singh Island.
He was going in with it, and then he was going out with it.
And I mean, I'm talking the bouncers and all the kids at the show just wrecked this dude's shit right out, and I was like, see ya.
Oh man.
What made you think that this was going to work out for you?
I hope it was worth it, you know?
Oh my God. Well,
Maybe that was initiation.
Just to go on a tangent for a second, just to tell you another great white power getting their story. Billy Club Chin Music record release show, when we put out that record at CBGB's, there was this one white kid dancing like a real asshole. Ended up getting into some scuffles with some associates of ours, let's say. And his girlfriend pops up out of nowhere and starts spitting out that N-word.
Oof.
And the S-word, SP. You're all a bunch of... And it was like, oh, no. That's no good. So
this ain't gonna work for you, girl.
Her man got beaten out the door. A certain member of a certain band, who I will not name... It may or may not be a band that I play for, proceeded to smack the dude over the head with a chair on the way out. And this was when CBGB's had the live streams. They had the cameras set up. Mm-hmm. So the next day, my friend Yuri from Belgium, who drove us around on our first Europe tour, he's like, did I see this person smacking somebody over the head with a chair on the live stream? So it's like, got snitched out all the way to Belgium.
All the way.
But dude got beaten out the door. And
can't show up and say these things, though.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, like...
Well, that's the other thing. It wasn't even him that said it. The girlfriend said it. But he had to pay for it.
Well, somebody had to pay for it.
Oh, well.
But what I'm saying is, it's... So, to pivot this, all in the news... And just the cycle of things over the course of the last 4 or 5 years has had people just talking out of the side of their mouth like nobody's paying attention. But I'm paying attention. I see that shit on the internet all the time. I see people that I thought were my friends saying horrible things, and I have to let them go. And Mo, I have to understand. I have to believe that you had to have had a similar come to terms with some of the people that were around you, where you didn't realize that they were harboring feelings not about you, but about people like you.
Yeah, well, I think I think what's happening is everybody on all of the sides, or whatever side you're on, are kind of understanding that when it comes to this white supremacy in America thing, that it's very much a spectrum, right? It's kind of because white supremacy is very much a system. It's not necessarily just a feeling.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people don't necessarily think that if I support a like, say, for example, I support, a political agenda or a bill or something that harms people of color or Native Americans or Muslim Americans in this country. If I support that, that's a political decision. That's political. Like, don't make me feel like I'm racist because of my political beliefs. You know what I mean? So that's, and these people feel attacked without understanding that when it comes to white supremacy, it's baked so much into the culture and the fabric of the country that when it comes to political policies, even environmental policies, these things often end up with people of color either footing the bill or ending up with the worst consequences of anyone else. And when that is not fully understood by people, they think that they're just supporting their political party or the politician that they like, or what the news channel that they like to watch, without understanding the repercussions of how these things affect other people. So it's like they can think like, because I'm not a Nazi or I'm not a KKK, I don't say those words. I don't call people that. Like, I'm not a racist person. I just love me some Rand Paul. Or, I just love Lindsey Graham. Well, it's just like, you need to think a little bit harder about what you're supporting. You need to think through till the end. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times these things aren't the full scope of what politics really means. People love the Super Bowl and the NASCAR and pro wrestling so much that they don't think any deeper about what these things actually, what the toll of these things really are. They just like winning, and they like the person that they like winning. Right. That's what they like, and it's just like, it's not, people just don't understand politics to that extent. They just like being on the winning team, and they like the person they voted for winning.
Yeah, because it's a popularity contest is what it comes down
to. Very much so. So like you can have black people you can have people who have learned about the civil rights movement in school to one extent or the other, whether it's the whitewash version or whatever. They can learn that black people fought for rights 60 years ago, to be able to vote and go whatever we want and do and not be killed. And then they could look at their country now and say, well, this is not a racist country. Well, it's just like, well, who do you think that we were trying to get the rights from?
Right.
Like, who do you think the main opposition in that story was? It was the literal country, the literal government, like it wasn't fucking Dr. Doom.
So, did you see that they released today that there's like a smoking gun letter about the plot of the government to remove Malcolm X from life?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I saw that. I thought that was something that was already widely understood, but
I mean, I knew that was the thing, but the actual physical letter never existed.
Yeah, the actual physical proof.
It existed, but nobody actually put it out there.
Yeah.
Right. And now that it's starting to come out, and apparently the guy who wrote it is basically saying that once he's passed, the full account of what happened will be released. But he doesn't want to release it until he's dead because he doesn't want to have to deal with any of the repercussions.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the pain you had to feel for that long to get to this point where you're on your deathbed and you're like, I still can't even say it on my deathbed because I'm still in fear.
Yeah. That's where we live, man. I mean, Fred Hampton was 21 years old and they kicked his door in and blew him away in sleep in his bed.
Did you guys see that movie, by the way?
No, I have not.
Which one? The one on Fred Hampton?
Yeah.
I did.
It just came out like a week or two ago.
I didn't watch it yet.
It was actually really good.
Okay.
It was one of those that went straight to HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, now I'm spacing out on the name.
Judas and the Messiah, I think is what it's called.
Judas and the Black Messiah.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. And they tried to stick close to the facts.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a good movie. Definitely worth it. Definitely worth watching.
The government kind of went really, really deep in terms of trying to regulate and subdue any sort of black leaders that were really going to get. They felt like the amount of change that was happening. I feel like they thought the amount of change that was happening was enough.
Right.
So it's just like they got rid of all of the massively charismatic black leaders, just had to go, and even a couple of the white ones.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, there's always been the rumor of JFK, but also just, I mean, that's where this whole thing about Malcolm X is no shit.
Yeah, totally.
But most people already figured that was the case anyway. It's not like it's a big surprise.
I think that we live in a different mindset than even 70% of America, though. So for us, what seems like is actually kind of mind-blowing. For other people, holy shit, I don't believe this is real. I didn't think that the government was that against against people in general like that. Well, and I'm like, you're just not paying attention.
Yeah, but some of these people...
You're not looking at the information that is clearly presented to you.
Yeah, well, some of these people, you could smash them over the head with it and they still won't believe it. I mean, look at all this other shit that's gone on recently. They wouldn't accept it if they got run over with it.
That's always been my main problem with people, with a lot of people who are unwilling to accept the place where we live. And it's just like, it shouldn't necessarily take if somebody that you know needs to succumb to racism for you to take it seriously, like, what does that say about you?
Right.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I agree.
Absolutely.
I mean, and it's just like, it's weird to know that, like, to even look at something like Facebook, and, because I have a pretty big Facebook page, 2,000 or something people, and, like, to look at that and know that, like, a lot of these people don't really care about my quality of life until it is taken from me.
Right.
That's when they'll go, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess the Black Lives is a thing, I guess there really is something to that, huh? It's just like...
So, the company I work for, like, as a regular thing, not at my studio, because obviously that's my own company. When the George Floyd thing happened, we had a couple of meetings about race relations in general, and I thought it was kind of like bullshit, but they were calling on people of color to tell their story. So I actually told a story, and my story was that between March and April of, I guess it was 1997, I was pulled over 18 times in 1 month. Driving, I was just like a young kid driving a red Firebird 350 with a huge exhaust. But every time I was pulled over, I was searched for drugs and basically told, there's no way that a young black man like you should have a car like this if you're not doing anything that you have to be doing something nefarious to be able to afford this. You shouldn't be in this. And I'm like, this is just normal course of business for my whole life. So, like, for people to say that it's gone away or it doesn't exist or whatever, I'm just like, yeah, it's bullshit. You clearly aren't paying attention to what's going on around you. Either it doesn't affect you, or you have no reason to notice it, but that doesn't make it any less true.
Well, I feel like the 2000s was really, really good at being like, hey, y'all, party time. Like, I feel like, think about it, like 2000 to like 2009, while there were some like little, like Katrina happened, and there were some things that happened that kind of, spoke to kind of the systemic racism that we live in. But once we got past 2010 and viral videos became a thing and smartphone videos became a thing, and the news cycle just ate it up so much.
Social media.
And just kept regurgitating it back to everybody. I feel like that's what kicked it all back up again.
Right.
To like 1960s levels.
Well, yeah, because now you're seeing all the things. So let me ask you this question. Have you ever had something happen to you that when you explained it to a friend, a white friend, they're like, oh no, that's definitely not how that really happened. You just have to be mistaken. Like, the police would never do that, or XYZ would never do that. That's just not how people operate. And you're like, but motherfucker, it happened because I was there and it happened to me. And you're telling me that what I had didn't happen? I mean, is that something you've ever had to deal with?
Not directly, but like, I mean, the time that I lived, because I lived in Massachusetts for about 2.5 years or so, Western Mass. After I graduated, I went to college in New Hampshire and then went down there for a couple of years, and then went back home after that. And in that like few years that I lived in New England, I've been pulled over more in that few years than pretty much my entire life. And at this point, that was a long time ago. Like, that was over 10 years ago that I lived there.
Right.
So I've been back in New Jersey, driving around Jersey, New York City, and PA for 10 years and haven't been pulled over anywhere near the amount is what I was driving around New England.
What I'll say is you really got to be wild in Manhattan to get pulled over. So it's like you got to be doing something real egregious.
Yeah. You have to be literally trying to commit vehicular homicide for them to be able
Otherwise, they're just like, yeah, whatever.
But I say that all the time. It's one of those things where it's like, one of my best friends lives in Massachusetts right now too. And it's just like, man, I would never, ever, ever, ever move back there because the police are like next level. It's insane up there, man.
I hate even driving up there to like go to a show or whatever. I'm always like, yo, somebody else drive.
It's crazy because like there's Massachusetts State Police everywhere, and then every single town has their own police force. So their cops are everywhere. So there's cops everywhere all the time, pulling people over. If they would get followed, they would follow me. Would drive by late at night, coming back from a gig or a rehearsal, and they would just be sitting in the parking lot of the subway or some shit, just facing out on the highway. And you just drive by, they pull out, and they follow you. 2-3 miles.
You had dreads at the time too, so it was easy for them to see.
Yeah, and I had a crappy New Jersey, I had a crappy Pontiac Bonneville with the New Jersey license plates on it. So like they
mega target.
Oh god, it was relentless, man. I had to go and fight tickets wearing a suit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you had to like actually play the part.
Yeah, it was crazy, yo. It just happened all the time. I do not miss it. And it's like my friends, like and none of my friends who were white, who I had up there, like would tell stories like that, like I fucking got pulled over again today.
And they're like, "What? You must have been doing something wrong." And I was just existing.
No. Yeah, exactly.
So I bought a mom car. That's how I got away from getting pulled over. So I drive like a Mazda CX-5 right now, and it just looks like something that you would go pick the kids up in. And honestly, maybe once or twice in the last 9 years of owning it, I've been pulled over, and both times were literally my fault because I was doing like 95.
Yeah,
like it wasn't ran a red light. Right, but and I accept those, but anything else, like you're doing 70 in a 55, the cops are just like, probably just some lady trying to get the kids to somewhere or whatever. Like they don't even look at the car because it's not flashy.
Yeah.
So as soon as I pulled myself out of that flashy ride, life changed and I stopped getting pulled over all the time.
Yeah.
Just got to blend in.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's absolutely what it is. You have to play to their biases to keep yourself safe. But we don't live in any sort of white supremacist system.
No, not at all. Definitely not a real thing at all. And they're like, nothing to worry about.
Nothing to see.
You ever run into that stuff on tour?
Oh, goodness me. I don't really think. I don't really think so. I mean, I was cool with driving. I did a decent amount of driving. Fox pretty much never drove. He will find any excuse in the world not to drive. But I did a lot of driving, and no, we never really. I never really hit anything like that on tour. If I can be honest. I mean, I did.
Well, I'm happy for you that you never had to deal with it.
No, that's good.
I mean, I'm well enough aware of my surroundings to keep myself safe and kind of understand. I grew up in a project, so like when you grow up in situations like that, you learn to kind of live on alert.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting someplace with my wife. She'll be like, "What are you looking at?" And I'm just like, "Looking around."
I got to keep my eyes open.
Yeah, I just got to know what's going on around here. That's all.
So one of the worst places that I've ever had to deal with while on tour was the middle of Pennsylvania. Not the edges, not Pittsburgh or Erie or Philadelphia or anywhere but like the center of PA is just like, we walked into this restaurant and it was me and dudes from I think it was Bottom Feeder. We walked in and I was legitimately the only black person in the entire establishment. There was nobody of any Hispanic descent working in the kitchen that you could see. It was just all white people. I walked in and it was like the record scratched. Everybody's looking at me. And then I come over and I sit down at the table and like one of the families actually had the kids move away from my area at the table, and I'm like, this is for real right now. I mean, this is like, I don't know, 2012, so it's not even that long ago.
Right.
But the middle of Pennsylvania is wild. It's Pennsylvania.
Yeah, there's a lot of sketchiness over there, if you know what I mean.
And I mean, I've been in the South, I've been in the center of the country, and you see weird shit. We got Breath of Silence got in a fight in a parking lot in Idaho. We were coming back from playing in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, headed to Salt Lake City. I get out of the car, out of the van, and I go into the gas station, pay for the gas, and buy something to eat. And as I'm walking back out, N-word, 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 N-word from some dude, and he's like getting in my face. He's getting closer and closer, and I'm just looking at him, and I drop the stuff that was in my hand, and as I go to hit him, Big J, our drummer, came out of nowhere and just murdered this dude. I grabbed the stuff. I didn't even get the gas that we paid for, and we got out of town immediately because this dude was bleeding everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah. Because once the cops show up, that's the real issue. Actually, I had something on tour like that once. We played in I think it was Idaho. Did you say Idaho?
I said Idaho.
I think it was the best. It was the best Super 8 or one of those sort of things in Idaho. And me and the dude, my man Phil, we were on this tour getting ripped off. And yeah, man, this woman took me out on tour and just fucking put me right over a barrel and just ripped me off.
Oh. Really?
Crazy shit, man. The one and only time that'll ever happen to me.
So wait, but finish your story, but then I want to understand how she ripped you off. We'll get
I
back
want to
to
about that too.
So we stayed at the Super 8, and the people who ran the place, they had all these signs up all over the place that said like $150 charge if you smoke in the room, or whatever. So it's like, clearly we didn't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we didn't do that. We were coming back from out west, so we had some things in our bag from dispensaries and things like that, just like in our bags and our stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we go to check out, and they said like, oh yeah, we got to charge you guys the whatever for smoking in your room.
You're like, no, you don't.
And we're like, what are you talking about? Like we didn't, you know what I mean? Like we didn't do that.
But you ain't even been in the room yet to check it.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Like this, we can tell that you were smoking in here. It's like, we didn't fucking, like, we didn't, you know what I mean? Like, and this and then she was like, oh, well, I can just call the police and have them come here. And probably, you know what I mean? And it was just like, oh, okay.
And if the police show up here, I know what's happening to me.
I know what's happening to me. They're going to want to look through my stuff.
Yep.
And here we fucking go. You know what I mean? So like they knew what they were doing. They knew that we did not want because I'm a person of color. The bass player was a person of color. The guitar player was black. Me, the bass player, and the guitar player, and the singer, the woman who ripped us off, were all black.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this place had Fox News on the TV in the lobby. You know what I'm saying? So like they knew what they were doing.
So what year was this?
2018.
Okay, so not even that long ago.
Yeah, January 2018.
Wow.
So how did you get ripped off? Let me hear this story.
Well, this woman
you don't have to tell me her name.
Her name is J. Well, it was JJ Thames, Thames, like the river.
Okay.
JJ Thames or Thames or whatever. I don't mind saying her name because she didn't mind ripping me off, so I don't really care. If anybody, you know what I mean? Like, what kind of liberty am I? What am I dedicated to? Like withholding her name?
Yeah,
she withholded my fucking money. So like, what's the difference? But her name was JJ Thames, and she wrote up these contracts under an LLC that was based in Louisiana. and then went to the Northeast, namely New Jersey, New York, to put a band together, to take that band around the country for a month and then not pay them. So that if I had this, and there were contracts and everything too. So I signed a contract telling me that I was going to get X amount of money. But in order to sue her in small claims court to do that, I would have to go down to Louisiana and do it there.
Oh.
So, so it's like, who has that much time to try and
time
get
and money?
Well, that's why she's looking for a band in New York.
Exactly, to track down $4,000 or $5,000 or whatever it was. So I got ripped off.
So you got literally nothing?
I made like $700, I think, for
in
like
a month.
Yeah.
Oh.
And here's the thing. Here's why I don't mind saying her name. My wife was pregnant, like fucking 7-8 months pregnant, bro. And she knew that and did it anyway. So that's why I don't care about saying what her name was. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? It's no big deal to me.
Yo, she's lucky. She's lucky your wife didn't have the baby and then go find her and give her some hands, because I wouldn't have blamed her.
Oh man.
People like that, bro. If you're that desperate that you're ripping off people to that extent, it's like, I don't even know if whatever she's doing at this point,
yeah.
You know what I mean? She certainly hasn't made anything of herself. You certainly didn't know who the fuck I was talking about. So
yeah.
That's kind of what happens when you play that game,
Yeah.
Damn. That's still rough. I would be so heated. I'd still be heated.
I'd be finding out what they're doing and letting everybody know, putting her on permanent blast.
Yeah, I posted about it a couple of times on social media, and it got around a couple times. I waited like a year to do it, because it was just like, maybe I'll get the money or something.
Yeah.
But
you ain't getting that money now, son.
No, at some point, you just gotta recognize that you're never gonna get it, and then put them on blast, because that way the next person might find out about it.
Yeah, you just keep it moving,
Not, because that's probably not the first time that's happened.
No.
So put her on blast and let other people know, and then
it's still possible.
Be wise to it, and then find out where she lives.
Who knows, man? She probably just moves around and goes. She's a grifter, man.
Probably.
Who knows where she lives now?
Yeah, well, like I said, that's why she was in New York looking for musicians, because she knew they probably wouldn't chase her ass down there.
Yeah.
Out of here with that shit.
Other than Shai Hulud, what are the projects that you're doing right now, like that you're actually actively involved in?
Ginty Band is still alive, despite the fact that John plays in the Almond Betts band now, which is like Almond and Betts, like their sons, Dwayne Allman and Dickie Dwayne Betts. Dwayne Betts was his Dickie's son, and a couple of other. I think Barry Oakley Jr. is also in the band. Yeah, there's a couple, 3-4 guys who are offspring. So they're kind of like the next in line for that Almonds thing, even though there still is the like O'Teal and Warren Haynes, like the remnants of the Allman Brothers band still get together and play sometimes too. But,
so
go ahead.
I used to have a Soldano Hot Rod 100.
Yeah.
That was owned by the Black Arkansas band, the Black Betty band, the
Black Oak Arkansas.
Black Oak Arkansas that did. So, but it had the Warren Haynes mod on it.
Oh,
specifically,
nice.
Like they were like, "Yo, what do you use?" And he sent it off to Soldano and had him redo it with it. And I had it, and I didn't know what the fucking thing was, and I sold it to get money to like do some stuff at the studio a couple of years ago. And as I'm packing the fucking amp, I flip it over for the first time. I had never flipped it over since I got it, and it says Black Oak, Arkansas. I'm like, fuck! I already sold this goddamn thing.
Yeah,
now I could have sold it for so much more money,
dude.
But yeah, I mean, sorry for the tangent. You said Warren Haynes. It just reminded me of that fucking mod.
Yeah, Ginty Band is still alive. Vegas Nerve is still alive, although dormant because Doc is, he's pretty busy.
Yeah.
And
we just, as we said, we
Yeah.
talked to him. We talked to him a little bit at length about the band that he does with you, and that you guys were gearing up to like do another record, and then it all kind of fell apart.
Yeah, man, life happens. Well, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm 36, and I'm, so I got at least 20 more years on me.
I think I'm gonna play or be involved in music literally up until the last day.
Yeah,
So,
it's gonna be the end. Yeah, I'll get a kufi and start playing jazz.
I'm not that good, so
Once my knees go, that'll be what I do.
I'm gonna be on the geriatric metal scene. So,
Oh,
But yeah, there's that. That band, Some Stranger, is they put out that album that we did at Studio 4 a while ago.
mhm.
We recorded an album at Studio 4 in 2013, and those guys put it out in 2020.
wow.
That's crazy. Did
Crazy,
you do it with Will Yip?
Yeah, it was with Will.
I've actually never met Will Yip, but like due to Sonny, I've had a lot more like half interactions with him just in general. He seems
Yeah.
like a really nice guy.
Oh no, recording with him was awesome. He's a fantastic producer because he himself is a drummer, so it was very easy to communicate things to me.
Mhm.
That he liked to do, and I like the way that he likes to record. He really likes to get organic, kind of full. If he can get a full song out of you, that's what he's kind of aiming for.
Right. Like play it straight through, you mean?
Yeah, he doesn't
Minimal
really,
punching.
Yeah, minimal punching, no editing, if any. So it was really great recording with him, and that room just sounds fantastic. It just feel like one of those places you just feel like an absolute big shot recording drums in there because it looks good, feels good. You go in the control room, you hear it back, it sounds great. Beautiful console in front of you. It's just like, just do this for fucking ever. But yeah, that was
come back. Can I come back tomorrow?
Yeah, right. Whatever you guys need, I'll just live here and play on everything.
House drummer.
Just toss me a pizza every now and then. But other than that, Mark and I, my cousin, have a project titled DMC that we've been kind of working on for the past few years. That should be out soon.
What's the premise of that?
Basically just like an alternative rock sort of band. It's the music that we've always liked, but we never really did together. So
Was that the stuff that he was recording at Landmine?
yeah,
Okay.
that same stuff. Yeah, still.
Did you
tinker.
actually ever come down and record down there? Because
Yeah, I did.
I didn't even see you.
Yeah, you
Like,
weren't there.
I wasn't there. I just let Mark in early, and then I had something else I was doing, and I didn't get a chance to stop by while you were there.
Not at all, no. But no, I was there.
Okay.
And
It's much different now.
Yeah, I saw the
It's much
upgrades and
different now.
pictures and stuff. Hopefully, I get to come back down soon and record something.
Bro, you're more than welcome to come down anytime you want.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Hell, you can even bring Mark. I don't care. He was the one that was mad at me.
Yeah, Mark's
it's
always
not-
dusting up something with somebody, man.
It's not the other way. Like I just was trying to like recover something that needed to be recovered, and he wasn't appreciating the way that I had been handling it. But as a business guy, I just needed to cover my ass. So like, it is what it is. If he's still mad, I'm sorry. Tell him I'm sorry.
I'm sure it's water under the bridge. I doubt I doubt he holds any hard feelings. I don't even know the story, so I don't even.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's not a really big deal.
But let's see. I don't.
So what about Cipher?
Well, Cipher is just kind of. We did This Is Hardcore, and we did a couple of other shows. We did Long Island with I think who's on that show? Was that Incendiary?
I'm pretty sure it was Incendiary.
Yeah, I think so.
We did a show in Long Island with them.
Because
Really,
other Moe is out in like California, right?
Yeah, Moe doesn't live here anymore, so it kind of is like a matter of what we get offered to do. You know what I mean? Like we got offered This Is Hardcore, so it was like, okay, well, I guess we'll do.
Might as well do that.
Yeah, right.
Like, why wouldn't we do that?
Yeah, so it kind of is just a matter of what people want us to do. I think there was a local show that they played a year in some change, or a year or two ago, that I actually couldn't make. That had prior work commitments, but we're all still in touch. It's just a matter of when we want to assemble the Voltron again.
I'm going to tell you that set that you guys played at This Is Hardcore was probably one of the most poppin' sets of the whole weekend. And maybe not from the standpoint of the crowd, but from the performance aspect. Like, everything about it was exactly what I needed to hear from you guys at that moment.
Dude, that's the worst fucking set I've ever played.
Doesn't matter. You were struggling with that kick drum.
Dude, well, here's the thing. It's my fault and it's not my fault. It's both things.
Okay.
The double bass drum pedal that I was using was fucking cooked. That shit was like, should have been retired 3 gigs ago. It was cooked. I do the same thing with Iron Cobra pedals, as they develop a click. Like, they click and then catch and then the pedal goes down.
Right.
So click, then the pedal. As opposed to just pedal.
Pedal, right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like click, move. And the pedals were doing that. Both cams were doing it. And I really should have done whatever possible not to use them. But I was like, fuck it, I'll just use them. What's the big fucking deal,
They're
right?
mine. I'm used to them.
Yeah,
whatever, let's do it.
And this is a fat guy thing. And this is a thing that will never happen to me again. But the drum throne was absolute ass.
Okay.
The drum throne, was not a fat dude drum throne. There were no ridges where you screw.
Right.
There was no memory lock thing.
So it was dropping on you?
The whole time, dude. The whole time, every single song would just slowly go down.
And then your legs are getting in the wrong position.
Yeah.
And then you're struggling with the fucking kick drum pedal. I'm with the kick pedal.
Yeah, and then we'd be like, the song's over, and I'm standing up with the fucking key, and trying to bring it back up again and tighten it back again to sit back down and play again, and then it starts going back down again. Every single song was like that.
Right.
So it's like
now you bring your own chair, your own throne.
It's never fucking happening to me again. I should know better with house kits. It's been 30 years.
Right.
Never trust the house kit.
Stuff like that is why my drummer always brings his throne.
Like a bunch of stuff.
Always.
Yeah. I should have had all my hardware shit in the car. That's what I should have done.
Well, also that year was the year that they put a 24-inch kick drum on stage instead of a 22.
That was also an issue. If the other two factors were in line, that would not have bothered me as much. But those 3 things together,
right?
Just is not good.
Regardless of your feeling of yourself, because we are all the most critical of ourselves as a whole, as an outfit. It was good. It was really good. I had a great time.
The feeling
I was on the side of the stage because I can't leave my post. So I was watching you. I was watching the whole thing happen from inches away. I wanted to be on the floor. I wanted to be that person falling on everybody else's head at a moment's notice, but I had to watch it from a more subdued location, but I enjoyed it.
What year was that? Was that 2017?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was 17 because I got back from a tour. I got back from a tour and went right to that, basically.
Okay. What tour were you on?
I went out west and back with the Ginty Band, and we recorded. Okay. We recorded at Plier Studio with Jim Scott. Jim Scott was one of the Sound City engineers, but he has his own studio, and he records all the Tedeschi Trucks Band albums and Wilco.
Okay.
And
so it fits that aesthetic.
Yeah. He was awesome producer to work with. He's right up there with Will Yip. Will Yip's right up there with him, in my opinion. Just a fantastic person to sit and craft through music with,
Mm-hmm. I actually just watched in the last week or so the Sound City doc that just finally ended up on YouTube.
You hadn't seen it?
I hadn't seen it,
Oh,
and
okay.
I fucking
Yeah, I
fell
saw
in
it a while
love
ago.
with the actual like documentary. I feel like I'm gonna end up watching this thing multiple times for the rest of my life.
I've seen it like a dozen times.
That it's just
I've seen it
so
a
well
few
done,
times for sure.
and I by the end of the documentary, I was like trying to find Dave Grohl on Instagram, like not just Foo Fighters. I wanted to find Dave Grohl on like Twitter or Instagram or somewhere I could just tag him, because all I wanted to say is, Dave Grohl, I want to come visit that Neve console. I don't even care if I can't record anything on it. I just want to touch it. Like, I need to feel the energy of this machine right now.
He has it, right? He has it.
He has it. It's in his studio. Like, I just want him to give me 15. I just need 15 minutes with it.
Yeah, right. I just want to record some drums through that shit. Man.
Just anything.
He should just
the magic,
build his own church and put that in there.
Yeah. I mean, he did build his own studio. I mean, it basically is a church. But like the magic in that fucking machine, and the guy you worked with clearly must have worked on that console at some point in his life.
Oh yeah, I mean he did. His discography is deep. Like he engineered Wildflowers, Tom Petty album. He engineered Californication.
Oh wow.
He mixed One by One by the Foo Fighters. He mixed that record.
Okay.
He was the dude, because they had mixed it, I think, twice. Because they recorded it, mixed it, and didn't like it. They recorded it, and then I think somebody else mixed it, they didn't like it, and then Jim mixed it, and they liked it, and they kept it.
So they recorded that record twice.
One by One, I believe so. Yes, they did it, and Dave didn't like it, and it wasn't good. He just wasn't feeling it, and they redid it again at his home studio.
Right. I remember that now.
Yeah,
I remember hearing about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and Jim mixed it, and Jim was the mix that they liked, and they kept that one.
Like, I don't even care if Dave is there. I'm not trying to meet Dave. Like, I would gladly meet Dave Grohl. Don't get it twisted. But like, I want to come and see the fucking console. That's what I want. Like, me and Dave would just be like some icing on the cake, but the cake would be the machine. That's what I'm like trying to do right now. Like, literally, it's on the top of my list of things to do in life is to go see this fucking Neve console.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
It's pretty crazy.
What else is crazy, Gary?
I mean, do we really want to know? I just read a thing before about they want to cancel Grease, the movie.
Yeah, I saw that. Did you see that, Mo?
They want to cancel Grease. Why is that?
Social media users are calling to ban the iconic 70s hit film Grease, condemning it for being sexist, homophobic, and slut-shaming. This is a real news story. I'm not making this up.
So, we've talked about cancel culture in general a few times across this podcast. I believe that there's a point where you have to like be able to say, "Hey, no more of this. You're across the line. Like, I can't take it." But if you need to dig back to 1970 whatever and point at a movie that has existed this long and try to cancel that movie, like, I don't think that this is how we should be handling things. It just seems out of control for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that are just downright hard to see. I remember the first time I saw Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Breakfast at Tiffany's, yeah.
And the person playing the Japanese guy upstairs.
Oh yeah, no, well, that's like, Mickey Rooney. That
was, I'm like, holy shit, is it?
Yeah.
Like, I was taken back
by
that. Like, this is insane. Like, this is one of the most legendary movies ever. Like, this is fucked up. But like, I don't necessarily feel like, I mean, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to tell anybody else what to do. I don't want to tell anybody else that they should not watch it.
So,
but
did you watch Tropic Thunder?
I've seen that movie. Yeah.
I personally didn't like the movie, but it didn't. Well, I didn't dislike the movie because of the blackface situation in the movie, because it's like part of the ridiculousness of the movie. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like
that was kind of the point of the joke,
right? But people tried to cancel this movie about a year and a half ago because someone saw it and was just like, "Yo, this is so wrong." And I'm like, yeah, technically, yes, it was wrong, but it was right because it was like doing a thing, making fun of the thing, like
right.
There's nuance.
Truth be told, if they wanted to put that movie out now, it
would never come out.
No,
it would never come out. But a lot of the stuff that I watch would never come out now.
Well, yeah, we've had those discussions before. Like the stuff that we were into in our formative years, Eddie Murphy Raw, Richard Pryor, anything. Like none of that stuff is hitting nowadays.
Yeah,
it's just not happening.
Absolutely not. People would not be able to accept it.
Yeah, I think the cancel culture stuff goes too far. At the same time,
it's also kind of necessary.
It's necessary to a point, but it gets. Listen, look at what we were talking about before with Pantera. Like, there are some people that are gung ho, like fuck Pantera, fuck anything to do with Pantera. But also, it was a different time. So you talk about the Confederate flags and stuff like that. Like, you know, maybe they would be apologizing for that now, but two of them are dead. So there's no making up for it.
Yeah.
You know, I think in the end it comes down to a personal thing. It's like, if you choose not to support, that's fine. But I think sometimes people take it too far.
For me, you need to be egregious for me to want to cancel you. So, like, I always point to, like, you see Louis C.K., and he uses the N-word in his act, but it's part of the act, so I don't get offended the way that I would get offended where the dude that was on Seinfeld just went off on people in the crowd using the same word, but in a completely different context. You have to be able to use nuance and understand the context of what's going on. And a joke is a joke, but attacking the crowd is a completely different thing and has to be handled. That was not a joke. So canceling him, I'm on board with canceling that shit. But like, I would never be like, yo, you can't tell a joke with a word in it that I don't like, as long as it's an actual joke. But you know what I mean? Like, there's a balance to what has to happen. And I feel like some of the cancellations are not as balanced as they should be.
Right.
And maybe I'm wrong. And I've been wrong before. And if somebody listening thinks I'm wrong, I would love for you to come on and tell me why.
I just don't think it's as clear cut. I think a lot of it is situational and like the Gina Carano thing.
Oh God.
Which
but she's not canceled.
Well,
I don't see that as canceled. Just because you got fired, I could be working a ticket booth at Disney, say that shit on the internet, and get fired too. Like, it's about understanding where you stand with your employer. If your employer isn't happy with something you're doing, you could lose your job. It is what it is.
Well, yeah. I think that's the big difference with that situation that a lot of people don't. But I also have another theory about it, which is that I think that maybe she wanted that to happen so that she could
wanted an out.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it's not smart because she's losing out on how much money. But I think that maybe she wanted to be that martyr, and maybe she sees money in that, or maybe she wants to get some, you know, maybe she wants to get something else out of it, some more attention, some.
So what you're
money
going to do
in other directions
is make movies with Ben Shapiro because he's got tons of hit movies out there.
Maybe,
like, what are we doing here?
Maybe she thinks that's a great idea. Listen, I never said she was smart, Len. I never said that this was a good idea. I'm just telling you, I think that maybe that's where her mind was, that maybe she thinks she can be some right-wing superstar and that somehow Ben Shapiro is going to blow up. But now, listen, everybody's talking about her. So maybe that's what she really wants.
Maybe. Yo, so you sent me that thing earlier today. Let's ask Mo.
Yeah.
Gary sent me this article that basically points to the fact that half the GOP party would be willing to leave the GOP and follow Trump, no matter what it is that he wants to do as a political agenda or party. They would pretty much gladly jump on board.
They'll just jump right on the train with him, no matter what he's doing. What do you think?
It's because he's the only hit that they've had in a long time.
Well, that's definitely part of it. That's definitely true.
And unfortunately, his whole vibe, that whole like ignorance thing, is growing in popularity amongst a lot of white folks and a lot of black and brown folks too.
It's so weird.
Just buying into it, so his thing is growing. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why so many people on that side of the aisle kind of won't denounce him, won't break away from it and say, won't distance themselves from it, because they know that if they do, that group of people will more or less attack them.
Yeah, they feel like he's their best chance. And listen, what's his name said it? Was it Lindsey Graham, or was it the other dummy? One of these dummies flat out said that if you think we're gonna win without Trump, you're crazy.
Yeah,
but like, is it worth just getting down deep into the muck just for votes?
Here's the thing. Yes, because what you have to understand about people who are, who have long terms as governors and senators, first off, I think that once you're a senator for a decent amount of for a long time, don't you like die with aren't those lifelong benefits?
That I'm not sure of.
I'm not sure about that either, honestly. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. It's not as public as, like Secret Service for ex-presidents, so I'd have to research it, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if nothing else, they get long-term benefits when it comes to, like, doing speaking stuff and things like that, like all these other former politicians do.
A full pension is available to members 62 years of age with 5 years of service, 50 years or older with 20 years of service, or 25 years of service at any age.
Yeah, I was just seeing that. And they receive retirement and health benefits beyond that as well.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And also the pipeline for these people to go into the private sector is pretty fucking direct.
That's what I was getting at, because even they could do the speaking engagements, they can do consultant work. There's unlimited options for them in that sense.
As a politician, all these years, and it's time to reap the benefits of helping out those people. So you have to understand that, like, we're talking about hundreds of people who stand to have great socialized benefits.
Right.
Great socialized free money for the rest of their lives just because they've been a senator for 15, 20 years.
Well, yeah,
I think I know what my next job is.
Right? You get to get, as long as you get that job and keep it, you get to get all of that shit, and then, Boeing might give you a job. Or Pfizer might give you a job. Or what I mean, or will give you it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what you're looking at here are people who are probably not qualified to do much else, stand to gain all of that reward. And it's just like, do I really think that my family means enough to that person? Do you think my family means as much to that person as their own? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? So
when I
So
see,
do you?
go ahead.
Go ahead. So I'm gonna finish your statement.
So like, yeah, when you say like, man, is it really worth like aligning yourself with that crazy ass shit just to get some votes, just to stay senator? Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I know how they think. It's just, to me, it's so foreign to me, and it just shows, like, I strongly dislike lawyers because a lot of them, to me, are just like bottom feeders. Like, some of these people actively work to help people get back on the street and do things again and again and again. And it's just an extension of that because, you know, funny enough, a lot of these people that are politicians used to be lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
Go figure. And it's just an extension of that. It's like these people, like, at some point, you got to wonder, like, how did some of these people sleep at night? Because the things that they do, whether we're talking about race stuff like we were talking about before, or financial related things like the fact that so many people are without jobs right now because of all this COVID nonsense, and are they sending out more checks to people? No, they're still fighting over it. And I mean, we had Lewis on last week telling us about what they do in the UK where he lives, and it's just like, you tell him like how much we've gotten from the government, and he's just like, oh my god, like.
Yeah. He's getting every month between 60 and 80% of his paycheck just to basically fuck off until this COVID thing. Yeah.
He's furloughed, but his company and the government are splitting the cost to pay him, like, what did he say, 75% of his wage? Or
yeah, it varies like here and there. Yeah. But
so you hear something like that, and then you hear what we're doing here, which is almost nothing. And
it basically is nothing. And in fact, because I make enough money to a certain degree, that I actually did not get any of the benefits. I got nothing on either of those payouts that have come out so far. Jack shit. And it's not like I don't have bills. It's not like I don't have a house. Right. Sure, I do have a job, and I'm happy to have it, but would that money have been well used around here? Fuck yeah, it would have been. And I wish I had got it.
Sure, but think about the people that lost their jobs. Like, think about all these people that we know
that, like,
ain't
enough.
Dudes that I know that used to go on tour teching for bands or doing lights or whatever that have nothing. Or even people that just work regular office jobs that we know that lost their job. And they can't even scrounge that up, but that's what I mean. It's like, these people don't care. They're all in for Trump and his nonsense, and like, they have no problem with these regular people. Cocksucker Ted Cruz. Fuck you, Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Fuck everything about you. But that's just a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Like, that dude, his whole state was falling apart. And he's like, oh, it's time to go to Cancun.
Gotta go. See you later.
Vacation time, girls. Let's go.
Have fun freezing.
Nobody's going to notice me in the airport. Nobody's going to take pictures of me while I'm on the plane.
So, did you have any issue due to what you do and COVID? Did you have months and months with nothing?
No, my job slowed down a little bit when things first popped off, but we went completely virtual lessons.
Okay.
So I was basically at my studio for like a few months, just working from there at my personal workspace that I have near my house.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool because I got to spend like way more time than I ever spend just inside of my studio.
Right.
All 6-7 hours at a time teaching. Doing summer camps. I taught whole summer camps from my studio virtually. I am absolutely missing out on all the other money that I used to make. Live gig money.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I had a few people. There were several artists that would hit me up intermittently, and I could have anywhere from like 3 to 5 paid gigs a month, just playing for a few different people.
Right.
But that's been gone for a year pretty much.
Yeah.
Which really sucks.
And by the way, today is exactly 1 year since I played my last show.
Wow.
Which is so weird to me.
Technically, yesterday was the last time I played an actual show.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it was the drive-in thing and back in June, but I think I'll hit that 1 year.
What was it before the drive-in show?
Oh gosh. Well, I would have to go back through my calendar, but it was probably just like a paid gig sort of thing. Let's see. Let's go back to March. What's today?
Today's the 22nd.
22nd. The reason why I brought up Malcolm X is that he was actually killed on the 21st, and that's why the letter coming out like yesterday was so significant, because it was like on the anniversary of the death.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I can't remember the last thing I played before that drive-in thing.
Yeah, my last thing was I filled in for Shattered Realm the day before Gary played in Trenton at Champs, and then before that was Descent had done 2 shows in December, so it's like I honestly don't even play guitar anymore. I don't even fucking touch it. I'm not even interested.
It's hard.
It's crazy to me.
I've been collecting amps. That's like been my thing. I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to collect a whole bunch of cool ass amps so that when it happens, I'm going to be prepared. I'll be ready. Every show's going to be a new head. Which one are you playing today?
Just running through 2 different heads, 2 different cabs every show.
I'm going to bring 4 heads, 4 cabs. I'm fucking Marty McFly in this shit. I'm going to hit that first riff, and I'm going to shoot across the room.
Oh, my God. So, Mo, let me ask you this. Talking about teaching, what's your feel on virtual versus in-person?
In-person is definitely better.
Okay.
Virtual is cool because at least it's something, and it's possible if you have the right teacher to really get a lot from virtual lessons. I feel like it's better if you are maybe a couple years in, if you already have a lot of the technique sort of things down.
Mm-hmm.
I'd imagine the same thing for guitar and bass, because you can't through the screen show someone can't really see how you're turning your wrist or how you're holding your neck, holding a drumstick, or the positioning of yourself. You know what I mean? Unless you have the dopest camera set up with, you know what I mean? And you're using.
And you got a switcher.
Yeah.
You got a guy.
3-camera shoot.
Hey Tony, zoom in on my feet here. I want him to see my ankle here.
So,
all
right. As a side note, and this is just a plug for Sonny from Hate56, do either of you follow him on the internet?
Yeah, he's got that new switcher that he made.
That fucking switcher he created.
Yeah. He's wild. I said it when he was on, when we talked to him. He's on some serious MacGyver shit, and that shit's crazy.
Wild, crazy, talented guy.
3D printing shit and doing inventing all kinds of shit. Holy shit!
I just don't have the mind for those things. So I bought a new desk at the studio, and I could have built the desk. I could have built this desk myself. I could have gone to Home Depot, and I could have lined it all out and cut the fucking wood and done all that shit and made a desk that works. But I was like, you know what? If I just go buy this desk, it's gonna be better than the one that I make. Yeah. And there's no reason for me to reinvent a wheel. Whereas he's like, yo, this wheel doesn't even exist. I'm not even reinventing a wheel. I'm gonna make my own wheel That's a brand new concept.
Crazy.
Like, who thinks to themselves, all right, well, I wish I had a whole team of people to do video switching, but I don't. So I'm gonna build a handle so I could just do that shit myself.
Switch myself.
I'm cutting it out. I'm a one-man operation. I need to be able to cut between 4 video angles on the fly, live on TV. Like, nobody's doing this shit.
Oh, it's crazy.
People need to put some respect on that man's name.
It's crazy what he does.
I feel like he's so talented and prolific that we need to he needs Secret Service and to be wrapped in bubble wrap.
But I tell him,
to the doctor, get some blood work done.
What I tell him all the time, I'm like, people will not respect you until you're gone. Once you're gone, they're going to realize the fucking value that you provided to them for so many years.
Fortunately, with humans, that's how it is, man. Crazy.
It just, so painful.
Listen, I don't understand, but I do why he gets the hate, and it's because dudes are jealous.
Yeah, just straight jealous. Like you can't think of these things, and you can't complete.
You always, it's like what we were talking about with Doc. The haters have arrived, and it's just you get that hate because people just don't like seeing a dude do some real shit,
level up all the time,
and he's on, he's hundreds of levels above what most people are doing.
I'm going to tell you, though, on a personal note, he is a great friend.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys ever have the ability to really actually become friends with Sonny, I would highly suggest it. Like, the other day when I was trying to drive around and buy a whole bunch of equipment for the studio, I was like, yo, Sonny, I'm coming to Philadelphia to go to IKEA. And he was like, yo, can I go with you? And we just hung out for an hour and just walked around IKEA. Wow. And it's just like, he is a completely normal person that thinks on a level that nobody else is on in the circles that I walk in.
Yeah.
Just, it's an anomaly. But an anomaly in the best possible way.
No, I got nothing but respect for that dude. And it just blows my mind seeing the things that listen, it blew my mind long ago just seeing stuff he was doing just with the video stuff and everything. And as he ups his game and puts it out there for everybody to see, it's just like,
yeah,
holy shit. Once again, he's on another level.
So what you need is a camera switcher, 15 cameras, and then your whole teaching experience is going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
So I need to just connect you with Sonny directly, and he can make you maybe we could build it into your sticks. We could get you some specialized sticks. Bam, bam.
He'll do
that. Give me a pedal next to my left foot, and I can just switch with the pedals. Just trigger it that way.
Just all right. So you need to be looking at my side profile. Bam. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm sitting. This is how you gotta sit.
But yeah, I feel like if you're just a little bit further along, virtual lessons will be a little bit better for you. There's a lot of learning drums that you kind of, because again, it's one of the oldest things that human species has ever done is bang on things percussively, and you learn how to do that from just being in the same room as it and feeling it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Look, thinking about it from a guitar point of view, I could see how it would be a lot tougher as a beginner.
Yeah.
You were saying. And I mean, I can't speak for drums because I have not one drumming bone in my body. That's the instrument that to me, I can't even, I don't even like sitting behind a kit because I just get scared.
I have 4 drum kits at my studio. 4. And you know how many of them I can play?
None.
I cannot play them. I can kind of tune them, but I cannot play them. If you want anything more than a boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, splash, boom, chick, that's about it. You're not getting anything special out of me. I can hold a beat and that's it. I cannot play drums.
Yeah, so I can't even do that.
The way that they would make it so that it would be actually fun to listen to. No way.
It takes an insane amount of coordination and
Dude, I can't even walk up the stairs without falling down. I almost fell down earlier.
All right, man. Crazy, man. It takes a lot of and you have to do it so much that you don't think of it when you do it.
Right. It's just like automatic
sort of thing. I can play drums and not like I used to play in a cover band, and like there were so many of those sets that were just like, oh, we're done.
I thought we just got started.
Yeah, right. Okay. Like I wasn't paying attention.
Four. Just playing on the forest.
Yeah, just playing, man. Just boom. I know how the things go.
Yeah. See, I
here's
get
the
that.
change.
I get that with guitar. Like I there's plenty of songs that I could play without even thinking on guitar. But when it comes to drums, like it's a whole new world for me that I just can't. It's just.
So if I decided I wanted to take drum lessons from a guy like you, and I contacted you and I was like, all right, I got this drum set, I've got a camera, I got a microphone, I can talk to you, you can talk to me, we got headphones, and how long do you think it would take to get me from boom chick to like actually playing a real song?
Not long, because really at its core, learning drums, what makes it difficult is the coordinational aspect of it. All instruments have their coordinational thing, right? But drumming is full body.
Right.
2 arms, 2 legs, functioning in a completely different way, all completely new coordinations. So you really just have to sit there and do it a lot, like the physical movement of it.
So
even free of any like particular concept, you just have to get yourself moving in order to be comfortable doing it. And because you're a musical person, you would be able to kind of recognize what you hear in music as being in the thing that you like as being the new thing that you're learning in front of you.
Right.
A lot of learning drums is really on the student. You know what I mean? Like I can't tell you how many drum students I've had where it's like they don't really listen to music.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
No.
Will you listen to music? No, not really. It's like, all right, well then,
what are you doing here?
Yeah,
what are we doing here?
Why?
Could you imagine that? Could you imagine like trying to teach, like being a soccer coach and being like, all right, I mean, you've seen a soccer game before, and no, I never have actually.
Well, that goes back to what I said earlier about like trying to explain a hardcore show to somebody that just has no concept.
Exactly.
It's just totally foreign, but it's like, but something like this, it's like somebody saying, hey, I want to go to a hardcore show and I want to be in the pit of the hardcore show. Have you ever seen a hardcore show? Like,
nope. No, you don't.
I don't think you want to do that.
I don't think you know what you're talking about right now.
But so learning drums, it really just depends on how much time you're willing to dedicate getting the coordinations comfortable for you. Because the concepts of drumming are not difficult. Those are not hard to understand.
What if you can't count? Because that's my problem, is I can't count. I'm a guitar player, and I just play the riff. And the riff is the riff, and you do the counting.
I mean, the more that you kind of do it, the less you have to count. I don't count when I play. I count things like if, this part has happened once, and then now it's happening again, and there's a third time, and time for the next part. Like that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not in my head going 1, 2, 3, 4. That's something that you have to do at first, just to kind of get yourself used to get the right kind of signals sent to your arms and legs.
Right.
Because you have to send some kind of proper signal to your arms and legs so they can develop muscle memory. But the more that you play, the less you count.
So you said you started playing at round 6, just fooling around. Did you have like a full size kit you were playing on, or did your parents get you like something smaller?
I never had drums at home. I learned how to play drums simply from using a drum kit at my church, which belonged to my uncle, and just kind of playing those drums.
Here and there.
Yeah, I never lived where there were drums, so I just had to make the most of where if I had.
So you didn't set up the pots and pans at home, nothing?
No, man, I air drummed.
Okay.
And that is honest to God, that's what I did. I would put on albums, like I put on
just
White Pony or Stay What You Are by Staves a Day, and just like play the album through, but like on an invisible drum set in my room.
But just like kind of patterning it out.
Yeah.
So that brings me to like something that actually happened earlier today. I sent Gary a video of this drummer called, his name is Larnell Lewis. Do you know?
Oh yeah, yeah, the Sandman video.
Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
Like, I watched him like mentally break this song down as it just played. He's just like kind of air drumming. He's like, all right, I got that. And then he goes through and he plays it, and I guess they showed us the second take of him playing it. But like, he brought a new life to that song that I would have never thought of, that was still in the vein of the original, but as you said, he blacked it up. I was like, yo, this is way cooler than what was actually on tape, other than the one spot he missed.
Insert Lars joke here.
Yes, tons of Lars jokes. But honestly, Metallica wouldn't be the band that they were without that simple drumming. The simple drumming is what pulls people in. It's easy to follow.
Yep. Yeah. I believe it's Lars's whole vibe. It's like he's like the Ringo of metal.
Just keep it simple, stupid.
People don't understand, like, yeah, he's not John Bonham, but Ringo wrote, some pretty memorable music. You can't really deny that.
I'm not a fan, but I can admit that they're influential.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of Beatles albums that I like. I don't love all of it or worship them as this amazing, incredible band or whatever, but you kind of can't take away what they did.
No, not at all. It's just not for me. I think that's really what it comes down to, is like, when I listen to the Beatles, it just doesn't, there's a couple songs I like, but I don't love, and there's nothing in their catalog that's like, oh my God, I got to listen to this over and over and over again.
Yeah, I like Revolver and Rubber Soul, and that's pretty much it.
And I'll tell you right now, I don't know what any of those are to be.
They
put out
painfully.
I know that they're albums just because of my record store days, but
I mean, I know that they're albums, but like,
funny
I don't
enough,
know anything on them.
Funny enough, Len and I have the exact same opinion of the Beatles, which is just odd because everybody else is just like, oh, you don't like the Beatles?
Yeah. Nah, just not my thing.
I don't understand. I don't have a problem with anybody disliking things, because I don't really have a rhyme or reason to what I like or what I don't like. It just kind of is what it is.
So what do you like? Like, what is your thing to, like, if you were going to put on, let's just say you had to make the Moe mix of 10 records that are like just the things that you are going to listen to because you want to listen to them.
And not even from a drum perspective, just
just like the life story of Moe. Like, what are the things that you're most drawn to?
I guess it would be like best of the stylistics.
Okay.
I do really love 70s R&B, and stylistics are probably like my favorite 70s R&B band. XTC's Drums and Wires. I have that tattooed. I have that cover tattooed on my arm. Mm-hmm. They're really a fantastic band, and
kind of match the, I guess you could say the feeling in my head that's there most of the time. So there's them. That's one of them. I guess the very first Foo Fighters album, the one Dave did by himself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That album's just perfect. Catherine Wheel, Chrome.
Which is actually a really wonderful record.
Oh, fantastic. I really do like the Catherine Wheel a lot.
So, like, I used to listen to a lot of alternative rock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I don't listen to it still, because honestly, there's more of a chance that you're going to catch me in my car listening to Juliana Hatfield 3 or Belly or, like, the Lemonheads or, like, just a whole bunch of, like, shit that I listened to in the 90s. Like, the Posies. I listened to the Posies almost, like, nonstop since they got onto my radar in 91 or 92. And, like, I've never dropped listening to, like, early and mid-90s alternative rock. It's just, there's something in there that I'll never let go of. So, yeah, 100% I agree with you.
And, let's see, I guess, Operation Doomsday.
Okay.
I like Doom, and I just like, when it comes to hip-hop, the rap that I like is basically, like, 88 to 2000.
We had the same conversation.
Yeah, we just had the same conversation.
Pretty much my window. Anything before, I mean, I respect it, but it's a little bit hum da da ha sort of thing.
Right,
right.
Not really. I don't really connect with the early stuff, although I do respect it. But you know, hip hop was really at its best and my most favorite in the early '90s. You know, the Native Tongues thing.
Yep.
The early.
We've had this whole conversation.
Yeah, we just had this conversation. Well, we've had this conversation a couple of times, and part of it spun off the 1991 discussion, but just talking about hip hop and how hip hop changed. Because one of the things we talked about was the Biz Markie record that came out in 91, which turned into a lawsuit, which changed everything as far as sampling goes. But also, just hip-hop was different then, because we talked about, and you'll probably remember this because this is in the time frame you're talking about, like that summer when, like, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Summertime was everywhere, and Scenario was everywhere.
Yeah.
And Shut 'Em Down was everywhere. And what else did we talk about? Oh, we were talking about Gangstar, stuff like that.
Ghetto
like
Boys,
that,
like just
like that was Ghetto Boys and NWA
had a whole rainbow of sound. It wasn't just one thing, whereas right now I feel like it's kind of just one thing.
It was like how rock music was. How the rock music, you have prog and you have alternative and you have southern rock and you had all these different kinds of hip hop from all different places in the country. You had the Midwest stuff, you had the South stuff, the Florida, Georgia stuff, you had the Northeast, you had the West, you had Texas. You know, like all of these places had their own definitive sound, and there was a place for all of it back then.
Right.
Now the arena is much smaller.
Well, tell me this, looking at, because you mentioned like up to 2000, where do you feel it kind of veered off and not necessarily went bad, but where maybe it lost you?
I guess you could say the whole the bling era.
Right.
Once like, you know, who's a pretty like definitive artist? You know, like the Cam'rons, well, it's like, you know, when it started to become really more so about just having money,
right?
Than telling real stories.
Yeah, and having jewelry and having women. It's just like, look at how rich and powerful I am and how much women want me. When that was just like one of the many things that you would hear in hip hop, it was fine. When it started to become more and more of everything, and it just started to become just that.
Right.
So for me, the last thing that I was hyped on, and then it actually kind of goes down exactly with what you were saying, was Big Pimpin' from Jay-Z, because that was 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
And everybody ran with that concept after it, because that song was so big. Everybody's like, yo, I'm just going to talk about my money, and that's it.
Yeah,
it started before that.
Yeah, but I'm
that
saying
was
that was
the peak of it. Well, because listen, guys like Puff Daddy blew that up. But
he was on a different track. Like
he was kind of on a different track, but it was similar. But that goes to what lost me, which we talked about in the past, which was
too much R&B.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the mixing of hip hop and R&B. But that's because I was always listening to more gangster type stuff. I was listening to NWA, the Ghetto Boys, and Public Enemy. When they started singing all the hooks, that's when it started to lose me a little bit. And then it just went full on. And it escalated from there into just losing the fundamentals. Because, growing up in the Bronx, it was always around for me. And the fundamentals were rhyming, graffiti, breakdancing, and over time, people kind of lost those elements. But even just when it comes to the rhyme, we talked about it before, like just guys being able to freestyle. These young dudes now can't freestyle for shit
at all,
and that's such a key element of the formation of hip hop and being able to just spit off the top of the head. And these young guys, that, and also just the way it became such a language thing. Like you listen to somebody like Chuck D, or you listen to a lot of the other stuff like, Professor X from X Clan, and like they were speaking and you could understand what they're saying. Their diction was a certain way and it was forceful and powerful, but it was also teaching people how to rhyme, because it was all clear, it was all there, and it was all understandable. And then it just started to veer off of there, and now you got these guys that are just and it just
mumble city.
It's so far away from me from
where I was,
from the fundamentals of it, that to me it's like a different genre of music now. And I probably lost interest. There's still a handful of artists that I like, but overall, I lost interest in most of it around that same time, probably, the late 90s into 2000, early 2000s. And I'll still listen to stuff like Run the Jewels and stuff like that, and there's some other guys that are good, but a lot of them just don't appeal to me, especially the stuff that's more mainstream, because it just lost the fundamentals, and to me it's a completely different type of music.
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty much all about partying now. It's all about the modern party language.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for that too, because NWA had some party songs too, but like it's just
that was
not
the only thing.
Right, exactly. They were doing different things, and now that's just all of it. And the money thing, like you said, that it's just it's gotten so far away from what it was and the roots of it. So that's where
I want to get to one last thing real quick.
Let's do it.
Top 5 wrestlers all time.
Oh man. Well, the list changed about 5 years ago when all that shit about Hulk Hogan came out.
Oh, wow.
I should have worn I do own a Fuck Hulk Hogan t-shirt.
That was hard, man. That was a hard day for a lot of black wrestling fans.
It wasn't hard for me because I never liked that dude.
It wasn't hard for me because I actively hated that dude since I was a kid.
I grew up with him, man. I was just at the right age, right time. I was like,
yeah.
I was born in '84, so like when I started watching
Hulkamania was running wild for you.
In full swing.
Full swing is '84 is the year it started. So like he was the man.
Then, like, hearing him on that recording with all them niggers was just, oof.
Yep.
That was hard.
Oh, man.
So in terms of, like, all around work, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that Too Cold Scorpio is on the list.
Still doing it. I
Because
just watched him on an indie show like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And, man, you go back and watch his early 90s stuff, the way he worked, because he wasn't a little guy. Like, he was not a small dude.
Definitely not.
You know, the 450 splash and the moonsaults and, like, the way that he wrestled is basically how people how most wrestlers wrestle now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was ahead of
the game.
Yeah, so, like, he was that style.
And listen,
too.
he's not up to the level that he once was. And he's not a small dude, because I just looked it up. He's 5'11". He's 55 now.
Yeah.
And he could still work, man. He could still move.
Yeah, I mean, and back then he had to be every bit of 250. You know what I mean? Yeah. He wasn't thin. He wasn't, like, not muscular. You know, he had muscle definition to him. But Too Cold Scorpio's on the list. Shawn Michaels is on the list for sure. Too Cold, Shawn Michaels. I'm going to go ahead and put Ron Simmons on there, too.
Yes.
Because Ron Simmons was the first black man I ever saw win the world championship. Even though his title one was pretty whack, but
one of my favorites.
Damn.
I think he might have been
awesome too. I love Doom.
Yeah, I think he might have been one of the first. He might have been the first African American to hold a world championship.
He was.
He was.
There haven't been many. There was him. There's been The Rock, Kofi Kingston, Mark Henry, Booker T, Ron Killings. And that's really kind of it.
Can I take a second and just big up Ron Killings? Because that dude
day in 20 years
is still going. He still looks exactly the same. Just like you said, he looks like he hasn't aged a day. And that dude, I'm pretty sure, I got to look it up, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's 49 years old now.
Yeah.
And he does not look it. He does not look it, and he's hilarious on top of that.
See, man, I loved, we'll put Bret Hart on there too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, that leaves time. One more. I guess I would have to go for, I'll say Flair and Savage as well. We'll do
Flair and Savage are my 1 and 2.
Yep.
So you have to imagine that at 8, so 1984, I'm fully in on wrestling at this point, and I'm bouncing between NWA, WCCW, World Championship Wrestling, WWF, UWF, and AWA. I'm reading about all of it in Pro Wrestling Insider,
Pro Wrestling
Illustrated. Like I'm reading all the magazines, and I'm catching shows on TBS and ESPN and whatever channel like WWF was coming on at the time.
Channel 9 probably.
I'm catching all these programs, but the only one that stuck out to me was Ric Flair, because he was the bad guy you wanted to love.
Yep.
Like he had a style about him.
Yep.
And he could work. I mean, he could work. He could put you over. You could be the worst wrestler on the planet. He could put you over because he was just that good at doing his job.
Yeah.
And
he had to be.
All the nonsense of all the people in wrestling, you never really hear anybody talk really bad about Ric Flair.
Except his ex-wives.
They're not worried about that shit. That's I'm talking about physical, like doing the job and like being a person in the business. Like we all know that Hulk Hogan was a piece of shit. Nobody's out there saying that Ric Flair is a piece of shit.
Yeah, it hasn't really come out to that extent. I mean, people have talked about little things he's done here and there, but
you're going to do little things, but I'm talking the big shit.
Well, he's run into some business trouble over the years, but that's from being married 100 times.
Right. So, like, I still like the day when he passes, I'm taking a whole week off. I'm not going to be able to handle it. I was hurt when Savage passed away.
Yep.
I like it. It was a little too much for me.
Well, Savage was gone too soon, man.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a shame.
Imagine if he got to live. Imagine if he got to live another 15 years and got to like take part in this kind of second wrestling boom that's happening.
I know. Maybe he would have done another record about Hogan too.
That album's awesome, man. It's way better than
good. And by the way, I hate the fact that they let Hogan induct him into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I feel like they should have.
He said that they patched it up, and I
don't believe it.
I don't believe it at all.
Well, Hogan be lying his ass off.
That's what I'm saying. Because the only one that said that they patched it up was Hogan. He said they ran into each other in a doctor's office and talked, and I'm like,
nah, you're lying.
He's definitely a liar, dude.
But then I also was very upset when the Ultimate Warrior took a picture with Hogan before Warrior died, because they had real beef.
That's real beef too. Yep.
Warrior sucks too.
I mean, Warrior was, but I just love the Warrior just for watching him for an hour just tear apart Hogan on video.
Yeah.
So I gave you my top two: Piper.
Yeah.
Muda.
Oh yeah.
And Booker T. Those are my top five.
I was about to say that's an 80s ass list, bro. But
that is what it is.
Yeah, Booker T is definitely.
Muda's more like early 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Muda is untouchable. Like seeing Muda live was one of the greatest moments of my life.
Yo, as a kid, when he would pull out the, I was like, yo, I'm in. I'm in. He don't even have to wrestle. Let me just
the way he worked. Yeah, the way he worked was so flamboyant, and then that whole karate thing was just so so popular at the time that like I listened to a lot of wrestling podcasts where about like they kind of talk about Muda's run a little bit here and there, and how basically Gary Hart was responsible for him not being able to do more. Also, technically, I guess wrestling was still pretty racist at the time, so.
I would argue it still kind of is probably. That's a side note right now.
Yeah, I mean, not to the level that it used to be, but it's still. Yeah, it still has its iffy moments.
But like, yeah, they were like, we can't put the title on the Japanese man. He can't even speak no English.
I mean, I would say at this point in the wrestling business, for the most part, Vince is the only one. Like maybe some of the indies, but. As far as bigger companies, like I think they're kind of over it, which is good. But as far as like I could name 20 guys off the top of my head, but I won't kill you guys with that. But to me, Flair is number one without a doubt, because nobody's ever going to match him simply because he had to travel everywhere and work months on end, and he had
hours long every night.
He had to go do hour-long Broadways every night and win while making the other guy look good, so that he didn't completely bury the whole territory.
Partying his face off the entire time,
and then go and party and then wrestle again for an hour the next night. Untouchable. Nobody's ever going to match it, because the business has changed, so there's nobody that's ever going to have to carry the load that he carried.
Yeah, there aren't gonna be wrestling stars as big as that.
Never. And it's not just about talent, because listen, he sure had the talent, but it's like I said, you had to go and work the territories and go to all these different places, wrestle a guy that you may have never even met before, wrestle him for an hour, make him look good so that the territory still can continue, and then go and drive to the next town and do the same thing the next day.
Yep.
And nobody's going to match that.
So besides, who else is in your top?
I mean, Blassie is my number one as a manager. I saw him wrestle later on like old videos, but when I was young, he was a manager at that point, and just
same.
What he was doing was awesome. Like, I could give you a whole list of even managers like Captain Lou and some other guys. Piper was one of my top guys. Always loved him. I loved Snuka when I was a kid, and that got a little weird
Finding
later
out all
on.
the stuff you found out.
Yeah, he's kind of a murderer. So
But
Kind of a murderer.
the truth is, there's a bunch of guys like that, and it really sucks. But that's kind of the way it is. And to a point, it's like that with music, too. Like, there are some music guys, it's like, you might love their music, but they did some real stupid shit.
Yep.
for sure.
And that's just the way it is. Because I was a Benoit guy. And now,
Good,
Yeah,
man.
you can't be a
look at how that
Benoit guy
worked
no
out.
more.
But I was a big Benoit fan. And that hurt real bad. Piper, Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty's
another
number
top
6 on my
guy.
list.
Yeah.
Stuffed it.
Iron Sheik, I always loved.
His
Still love him
internet
to this
personality is perfect.
And,
Yo.
and,
Oh
and
my
I'll
God.
never forget when I was a kid hearing it on the news that he got busted on the Palisades Parkway smoking joints with Hacksaw. One of the funniest things from my childhood. And that's just the classic guys. Like, if you move later on, like, I could talk about ECW in the 90s into the end. I could talk about...
Well, let's have
Yeah.
Mo come back in a couple weeks,
And we'll
Yeah.
do a
do our full wrestling episode. We're
Yeah,
not gonna
like,
talk
I
about
could-
nothing else.
I could talk about CM Punk and Taz and Chris Candido and Samoa Joe and all these other guys and guys
Yeah.
that are still in the game like Homicide
totally.
and Eddie Kingston. There's so many guys out there that are good in so many different directions that I could do a whole long ass episode about it.
Let's
'Cause-
plan to do that, and
Yeah.
like in a couple
man.
weeks, like when he's got some more time.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you'd like to plug right now for yourself? Things that you're doing that you just want to make sure that, or you want to send somebody to your Instagram, etc.
Yeah, man. Just find me on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter, MobileCop. Or you search my name, Moe Watson, on my Twitter and on YouTube, man. Just get on my give me some views. I got a Phil Collins. Wait, no, I'm saying I got a Peter Gabriel drum cover that's like almost
Nice.
at 25,000. Get me up
Okay.
there.
Nice.
I will repost that motherfucker right away.
Thanks, man.
So, yeah, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Mo.
It was my
Appreciate
pleasure, and I hope to come back very soon.
Yeah,
More than welcome
we'll
anytime you'd like.
make that happen. We'll make the wrestling episode happen.
Count me in, man. I can talk about that shit all night.
Yeah, you might regret that once you get me going. It's like, shit, it's 4 a.m.
Tell this man to shut up.
He's still talking about ECW. He's still talking about New Japan. He didn't even notice that I was snoring for 10 minutes.
No, the truth is I got to pee real bad.
I hear
We
you.
all there.
Yeah. the dance at the end. Well, thank you again, Mo. TheUpgradePodcast.net to find the links and find us on your favorite podcast service, which you already did because you're already listening. And that's it. We will see you guys again soon. Peace.
Peace.